go.
Yeah, it's blue. They're on.
Okay. Brennan, are you at the other end of the town of Norwich symbol?
I am indeed.
Yeah.
Brennan.
Great. Thanks for joining us.
Hold on a sec here. I'm going to admit people out of the waiting room.
Please have a cookie if you like.
No.
Ready to go?
Hold on one sec. Ready to go. I will hit record on.
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you. This Norwich Select Board meeting is convened at 6:32 p.m. on 8 April 2026. I'm Kimo Griggs, Chair of the Norwich Select Board. I'm joined by Brendan Klassen, Vice Chair, Mary Layton, Matt Sweat, Rob Gear, our fifth member, is traveling and is unlikely to join us remotely. Town Manager Brandon Duffy is with us remotely running the Zoom session. Notes will be taken by Jenny Tolman, and Junction Arts and Media is enabling our digital communications and recording in the shape of Jordan. Thank you for being here. Thank you for attending this regular meeting of the Select Board, which is general supervision of the town of Norwich. We appreciate the valuable contributions of our town employees, elected and appointed officials, and the myriad volunteers that make our town what it is. And we endeavor to be respectful of everyone while keeping what is best for Norwich as our North Star. If the chair recognizes you during our meeting, please try to keep your presentation to a maximum of 3 minutes. Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity at the start to express our appreciation for the efforts of those who volunteer for our many committees. They perform useful and meaningful work for the town, usually with little fanfare, finding apparently satisfaction in the work itself. So thank you for that. I'd also like to recognize that at least one, Sophia Langwell of the Valley News has joined us, among another guest who at this point is unnamed, but you will be. Oh, thank you. Okay. Agenda. Yes.
I had just requests for possible future agenda items. One is just to decide maybe when we get down to receipt of correspondence, if we would like a follow-up agenda item to do with the concerns raised by John Carroll, because he made specific suggestions which we could put into practice, and also that it was a lot of material that we didn't have an opportunity to think about or respond to. So it's an idea that we could, possibly do that. And the other is that I would like to submit for the next meeting drafts for 2 working groups to work on the possible date change for the information meeting, and also the process for entities that want to be taken off the tax rolls, like the nonprofits and so forth, to kind of make a coherent policy in conjunction with perhaps the listers and a town clerk and other people, just so that it's in one place what the options are, what the entitlements are according to statute. So, but I'd like to submit those for the next meeting.
Terrific.
Or a meeting, pretty soon.
So we'll wait until they've been submitted before actually putting it on the agenda, but we'll be prepared.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Okay. And other than that, I don't have any comments about tonight's agenda.
Fantastic. Anyone else?
I'm good.
Anyone on Zoom land? All right. Can I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. Klassen?
Yes.
Layton?
Yes.
Gear is not here. Sweat?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Terrific. And that was moved by
Me.
Sweat. Terrific. Okay. Next on the agenda is the chair's report. Brief. Since our last regular meeting on March 11th, 2026, Vice Chair Brendan Klasser and I met with the town manager, assistant town manager, and administrative assistant to discuss the agenda for this week. I signed an off-cycle warrant for payroll and a Tier 1B form for the planning department. While in Tracy, for that purpose, I met briefly with our town manager to discuss the departure of the director of our finance department. Brendan Klassen and I met to discuss how some current policies might be changed to provide us with greater agility in responding to concerns by citizens, the subject of ongoing interest in this board. I spoke with the chair of the planning committee regarding how we might think about setting goals. And I will be visiting Montpelier tomorrow to spend the day at the State House observing legislators at work. That's the end of my report. Third on the agenda is, are there public comments for items not on the agenda? If you have items that aren't on the agenda, yes.
Cheryl Lindbergh. I just wanted to mention again my hope that there'll be a new bulletin board in the not too distant future for the town out here where we put all of our postings. And if you were ever to take a moment to open it and work with it, you would understand that it's in very bad repair, and a replacement would be really great for us to have out front there with something this year, maybe. Thank you.
Okay. Noted. Any other public comments? I see one hand raised, but it's a blank. Or is that just a cursor?
Chris Clements.
Oh, Chris. Yes. You are muted. Still muted. Oh, there you are.
Good evening, Chris Clement, 80 Waterman Hill. Hello.
Hi.
My public comment is that I'm hoping that you all would get onto the agenda, putting together a public records request policy, especially given what's in the packet under correspondence. And that's really, again, I would just encourage you guys to get that together as soon as possible.
Thank you. The interest is there.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we can't talk about what's in correspondence, but it obviously is very related to it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any other? Your hand is still up, so you still have the
sorry.
floor.
Lower hand.
That's okay. All right. Terrific. Any other comments? All right. We'll close the comments.
You might mention she should mute her computer.
If you'd like to mute, that would be great. Okay, number 4, update regarding open positions on boards and commissions. We have an item in the packet. Is this something that our town manager would like to speak to, or shall I present this?
Well, I think when we decided to put that on, it was just a friendly reminder to folks that might be interested in wishing to apply for one of the open positions, that the deadline is coming up for that. I think it's the 15th next week, and that will be considered on the 22nd for folks that have gotten applications, and the select board will review those and make appointments.
Terrific. Thank you. That is our update. Any discussion? Problems? No. Okay. Number 5, Article 36 discussion. There's nothing in the packet regarding Article 36, but we have had letters and people coming into our meetings in the past related to Article 36, and it seemed like a responsible thing to bring it up and find out what is happening, what might happen, how we move this article along. An article that was written in 2019. There was a committee, a essentially a working group put together for it. I don't believe that group has technically been disbanded, but it was meant to be, but I don't think it actually was, I think.
I think it hasn't met, though.
Hasn't met.
I mean, there's a case for formality there, which we should remember too, especially if we're having a template to guide our working group
Yes.
procedures. But yeah, but it's very good information, very thorough analysis.
Yeah.
I'd like to speak a little bit to it, but maybe
Please.
you have a few more remarks.
No, I don't really. I'm just bringing this up and seeing
Yes.
where it goes.
All right, well, to have a resolution and have nothing happen is not a great thing. I do think that to some extent, Article 36 is aspirational, especially when you consider some of the practical decisions about fire trucks, for instance, which I think pretty tough to, I think even back in 2019, there might have been one fire truck design in LA, but it was really expensive and the technology wasn't quite there. I still think it's worthwhile, especially that if we're thinking of renovating Tracy Hall, we can find ways to save energy there. If we improve our other buildings that do need updating, we can certainly do it there. As far as the fleet, like the police cars and so forth, we did have a discussion, I think, about was it practical to just have everything be a Tesla, and just the ground clearance was the thing. And then can you have an electric vehicle? Can it idle? Because that's one of the important features. So I think there still needs to be more discussion about the practical details of how we would exactly pull this off. And also, and in the Department of Public Works, I know I shifted from just a home gas lawnmower, Husqvarna. I would cut down anything, right? And it would go as long as I put gas in it. So I changed to like a DeWalt mower with batteries, but I'm always running back and forth to charge the batteries. And I'm wondering with Department of Public Works, when they have to mow, do they have to go all the way out in a route? Have to go all the way back in to charge? How long does it take to charge? Like, would the tasks have a longer time frame to be accomplished? That kind of thing. In terms of the actual power generated by the machines, would that be adequate? And also, I'm quite a little bit concerned about fire, okay? That perhaps if they're larger vehicles like tractors, because once you got one of those battery fires, I'm sure Matt can talk about it, it's really hard to put it out. And if it's housed in some structure where it's hard to put out, isn't it going to catch everything else? So I just think there are a lot of practical details of management. If you have batteries, is it possible to have fireproof bays, or, would you think about that ahead of time? How do you store batteries? What's the capacity? I still think it's very worthwhile, but I also think it's a highly aspirational resolution because our town is passionate about saving energy, but it's important to work out the practical details. I don't know if you'd have to go to buying carbon credits to make it completely net zero. I don't know. I just think there's a lot to be worked out, but I also think there's a lot that could be done almost immediately, within the next couple of years, especially because we've got to get Tracy renovated. And I think we could do some things there for sure. So.
I guess I'm interested in what mechanisms we would recommend. We govern. We're not doing this work ourselves. How do citizens and employees make this happen? What are the?
I don't know. I mean, you're talking policy?
I suppose I am. We had this aspirational thing.
Right.
I think it was meant to seep into every aspect of how people think about doing things in Norwich, and it hasn't. I remember one day, and this is no way a native, I asked the police chief one day, gee whiz, wouldn't it be great to
Put panels on the
roof? Well, put heat pumps in.
Oh,
And replace I think you have a oil fired.
The public safety building is all heat pumps except for the apparatus bay.
Right.
Which is-
apparatus bay.
Yep.
And his response, which I completely understand as somebody who's sort of practical, was, no, I love my system.
I mean, the fire, I think you mean the fire chief.
The fire chief.
Fire
Yeah,
chief,
yeah,
yes.
sorry. Yeah. Which I understand on the one hand, but on the other hand, we're in a town that would love to see at least bids on what it would take to put heat pumps, heating that bay and using the oil as a backup, for example, right? But I'm not sure, I'm not in a position to tell anybody what to do. But I'd love to find a mechanism that would allow those things to start to be worked into daily habits and plans and capital planning. And I don't know exactly how to do that from our position.
I would love to hear from the Energy Committee sort of what nowadays low-hanging fruit is. Like, what are the easy things for us to do to make as big a difference on the upcoming horizon that I see? I think fleet management is harder, like for the reasons that you mentioned, like larger fleet pieces of apparatus are harder to get as all electric. But it seems to me that we're talking about Tracy Hall, which could be a big energy upgrade. And as we make decisions moving forward on Tracy Hall, at the forefront of our mind should be, how do we do it in a way that's as green as possible? And then I think we had mentioned briefly, maybe last meeting, talk about Public Works building and perhaps sort of upgrades or what the future of that building looks like. And so as we approach that, we should also, keep into the front of our mind, how do we do it in the most energy efficient way possible? Is that a good site for solar on the roof there? I don't know. And also, I think the article that I read that Sophia wrote, I think Aaron mentioned in it some insulation, at least at the apparatus bay in the firehouse. In insulating the envelope. I know the roof is insulated, but the surrounding envelope of the apparatus bay and the garage doors could probably have better insulating. Mm-hmm. And so even if we're burning fossil fuels to heat that bay, we'd be burning less. Mm. So those would be, but I think it'd be great to hear. I think we probably should have reached out to the Energy Committee and let them know that we were going to be discussing this, even though, they have the option to read our agendas, but it would be great to hear their input as well. Yeah. So maybe in the future meeting, we could make sure that we have this discussion with them.
Well, Rob, I know is very interested in this. We're sorry he couldn't be here. Actually asked if we could put this off, but I thought bringing it up today, having some discussion, discussing it again, I think this is something that's going to take a little while to work out. Do we recommend hiring a consultant to?
We do have a consultant who's here, right?
Oh, there we do.
So we could ask.
So
tonight,
we could. Is it a good time to open this up to outside comments?
Fine with me.
Yeah, I think just before we do that, I think if we look back at the Article 36 that the task force had put together on our website, it's pretty comprehensive. And I think a lot of effort went into this. And I think some folks, Ernie, was it?
Ernie Ciccatelli?
Yeah, spoke 2 weeks ago. Was it? Or,
who was it who spoke?
Or was it Jack Cushman?
Aaron Purdy.
Yeah, there was
Aaron spoke.
Jack Cushman was one, and there were 3 or 4 others.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of interest here.
There's a lot of interest.
It's the sense of urgency is very clear, I think, from our townsfolk. And I'm looking at Appendix B, and there's a very interesting timeline on projected replacement dates of equipment. And Matt, you would know far more about this than I do, but it's got a huge list, a huge inventory of equipment, like ladder 1, utility 1, truck 3, truck 4, tractor, backhoe, compressor. Mm-hmm. And it's got the projected replacement years. And the majority are still some years down the track from now. But there's a few that are there's a 2022, there's another 2024. And I'm wondering, have these come to realization? Have these things been replaced as predicted 7 years ago?
I think some, I mean, we have a kind of a capital plan to replace vehicles when they wear out. And also we've got a supply chain. So you put your order in 2 years ahead and say you're going to pay so much, and then you sort of find out what you pay when you get it. So it's a very ponderous and sort of important to keep up with process.
Right.
But I think some of that has. I mean, we've got a new plow truck, for instance.
Right. Okay.
Don't we have
So I wonder,
an engine too?
Yeah,
Right.
and when we designed our most recent fire engine, it was the first one that we designed so that it doesn't have a generator inside it. So it's all the stuff that's on it is battery operated, and so it uses a little bit less fuel than if you had a generator inside the engine, providing electricity to all the electric tools. So that was the best that we could do for energy, fossil fuel reduction on a fire engine. At the time.
there's limitations.
Yeah, there are limitations on large trucks, plow trucks, anything that's big. I haven't heard of any really good hybrid or all electric versions.
Yeah.
I know that the police department also tried getting a hybrid and found that because of the amount of electricity drawn from all of their devices that are inside the cruisers, it was drawing down on the batteries too much. So they were having battery issues with a standard hybrid to use it as a police car. But I'm not an expert in this field. I'm only speaking.
Neither am I.
The direct experience that we've had there.
Yes, but we could keep looking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep looking every time a decision is made. Yeah.
Just to say that our local farmer, Nora Lake, has at least one electric tractor.
Oh,
So we could convene Nora and say, well, how is
Come
it?
from Sweetland.
Yeah, there's at least one.
huh.
He plans for more.
Yeah.
So we could, ask Nora to come out
That's a good
and
idea.
say, well, how is it working with that? How's it working out?
Yeah.
So
That's an electric
Other
tractor, like
options.
agricultural.
tractor.
Yeah.
So, we have to have tractors for roadside mowing and so forth, maybe for, I don't think they're for loading, probably, they have a loader, but they might have a bucket on a tractor for light duty things.
And also for mowing.
Yeah, for mowing. Regular mowing, like Huntley Meadow and roadside and so forth. So
Yeah, and that
it might be a possibility.
might be. It didn't make sense the last time it was looked at, apparently. But
Well,
I don't know whether.
I think the technology, does improve. I don't know if it'll ever really work for a fire truck, but it might for a tractor. Maybe we could find out.
Yeah.
So
I guess what I
Some
was
expertise.
what I was hoping to leverage to the extent that we can is this Task Force 36 report is 7 years old. So if it was well researched, well informed and accurate, some of the predictions, projections, whatever could and should be realized now. We can use the 7-year period to help inform us as to what might be achievable in the next 7 years. Like, was it a complete irrelevant pipe dream and nothing was?
no, I think it's good data. It's just what do you do with it is
Yeah.
the problem. Very good data, very well researched of what's the problem? What is how much are, fossil fuel are we using? And it even included like people's commutes, that sort of thing. But it's like, okay, then here you've got the scenario, but what do you do? And there was that's what we're trying to do now is to follow up with at least something.
Because they mentioned gallons consumed of diesel and gasoline and all
Yeah,
those things.
you could do that. I'd probably just do that again,
Do a
I don't know if it
comparative.
would have gone
So
down.
map it back.
I don't think our fleet has increased, right? I don't know if any of the vehicles are more efficient. So it's possibly about in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
So maybe we could ask for that to be measured.
So there are two
Okay.
hands up there too.
Should we go to public comments?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to public comments. Do we have anybody in person? Would you like to?
Come
I would
on.
like to, yeah, well, thank you.
Come on up. We have cookies and crackers.
Yeah, thanks.
Cookies.
Hi there. Yeah, my name again is Jude Stull. And I just wanted to comment on this. Yeah, given what we understand and what we fear about global climate change, I think efforts to mitigate emissions on a municipal level even are noble. But I think there can also be a concern with all of the impacts of them and the ramifications of them, specifically, ultimately on affordability of housing. And I come at this from a couple of different perspectives. I mean, first of all, I am someone here with my wife. I run a small organization dedicated to preventing septic failure. My wife is a nurse at the VA, struggling to get permanent housing in the Upper Valley, and having dealt directly with the cumulative effects of permitting statewide permitting restrictions related to energy that actually crashed an entire project that we now can't do. So that's my personal perspective. I've seen how some of these policies, when implemented and carried to an excess, can actually really make things a lot more expensive for the people often who don't get a lot of voice in the discussion of implementing that, especially the mandatory ones. I could go into other examples, but what I'm saying in conclusion is that I think a fair question to ask before adopting any mandatory policy that seeks to prevent or mitigate global climate change is, what impact does this have on housing affordability? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Comment. Okay.
The only thing to note is this is not mandatory, Article 36, it's advisory.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, me too up there. Got Cheryl.
Yes.
Well, let's take the ones here in the room first. Go ahead.
Briefly, Cheryl Lindbergh, and I was trying to listen carefully. Did you mention already, Mary, that you thought you should publish the task force as an open group that you would appoint members to, like you have been advertising for other committees? I was just curious if that was an agreed upon thought, and were there?
People need to hear that again. So
Well, I wasn't sure, but I was just thinking that since there's been quite a pause since 22, I believe, since the groups met.
right,
Is that correct? I think I looked that up.
sounds about right. And it's not
Yeah,
an
right there,
active
yeah.
group.
So my thinking was, there may be new people
Like it could be reactivated kind of thing
with
with
new people that might want to be on it.
Yeah.
And some that are on it or were on it might want to do that as well. So that was one of my questions.
That's great.
Just the composition.
Yep.
Are you going to refresh it that way? And moment.
Don't think we've gotten that.
Yeah,
far.
well, and I know the other thought I have, and it's a little bit random to this topic, but if there was ever anything done at the transfer station on behalf of those individuals that work there, where a building could be constructed with a toilet or something, that would be
better conditions.
much better conditions.
Mhm.
I would hope that, that would be something that could be done.
Major plan out there, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, lots of hands.
Let's open it up to Zoom land.
I think Linda had her hand up first.
Who?
Linda Gray.
Linda, please.
Hi, thank you very much. I just have 3 points that I wanted to make. One is to point out that the article was passed 7 years ago, but the report from the task force is just 4 years old. So I do want you to know that. The other points that I have are my thoughts about how you should approach taking next steps. And I would say one of the key things would be for the select board to make further action on this a priority for the town manager, and also to make use of our shared energy coordinator, who's got a lot of expertise and has been working with multiple other towns. And so we've got somebody essentially on staff that can help carry out this, and it wouldn't be a total burden, a new burden on the town manager. Thank you.
You. Good thoughts. Okay, that's very helpful. Who's next? Chris. Hello again.
Am I unmuted? Hello again. So I'm not going to address Article 36, and I'm glad that Linda brought this up. My comment is not about Article 36 per se. It's about this as an agenda item. But Linda just brought up the idea that the town manager and reporting on this. And I think my suggestion when you guys get down to town manager goals, that when you guys have an agenda item of this magnitude, which obviously a lot of people find it important, that supporting documentation would have been really helpful in this conversation. Historically, I think the town manager could have already put together a lot of materials. I think free-forming conversations are great, but in this particular article, this particular agenda, I think it would be nice if you had tasked your town manager to put some historical documentation, not just for your sake, but I think for members of the public who are going to want to look at this and participate and see the direction you're going in. So that's my advice, that not only, I mean, this is a good example, but I think when you get down to the TM goals, that one of them should be that materials for these kind of conversations would be really helpful. That's it.
Thanks. Okay. Harry.
Hi, everyone. My name's Harry Falconer. I don't think I've had the pleasure of meeting most of you yet. I work for Two Rivers Ottaquechee Regional Commission on contract as your shared energy coordinator, working for Norwich and a coalition of 6 other towns on energy efficiency and electrification projects. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts and reactions to all the discussion points you brought up. I think there was a lot of interesting opportunities that you mentioned. First and foremost, yeah, I think the Article 36 report is still largely true, even though it's a few years out of date. Most of those opportunities still exist, and I think the biggest opportunities for change that you have are going to come up when obviously buildings and equipment come up for life cycle upgrades. I know you're already working on, studying a Tracy Hall renovation, and yeah, as it was pointed out, the task force report kind of did a bit of capital budgeting planning for replacing vehicles and things like that. Some of the specific information in the report is out of date, just in terms of the technologies and things like that. I would echo what was said earlier, that heavy duty truck EVs are still pretty much out of reach, and they're not going to be able to meet cost parity with diesel trucks and meet the level of performance that you expect out of plow trucks and things like that. However, there are some EV police cars, at least one EV police trim car on the market. The Chevy Blazer EV police trim is available. Other towns around Vermont, the report talks about, even back then, had EV police cruisers. Those were not like stock police trim models. So towns, I think, like Richmond, Burlington, a few others around the region, at that time, had Tesla police cars, but they had basically gotten aftermarket modification to make them police ready. So this, I think, the Chevy Blazer is the first off-the-shelf police trim cruiser available. So that has changed in recent years. And I think part of why the report identified police cars as kind of the low-hanging fruit, as someone used that term, is that they do spend a lot of time idling, and EVs obviously can sit there really barely drawing down the battery and, have heat and air conditioning on and all the auxiliary kind of appliances and things like that the police need, laptops and radios and things like that. So that's kind of why it was mentioned in the report as low-hanging fruit, and I think that's still true. A few other notes generally. There was a recommendation to add tracking to the heavy-duty fleet vehicles so that it's easier to track fuel consumption and mileage and things like that. If that recommendation hasn't already been taken, I think that's a great thing to do, and would make kind of the greenhouse gas inventory and things like that a lot easier in the future. So I think that's still a great recommendation to take. The discussion, I know I'm kind of blazing through this. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but lawn mowing equipment, actually, Hartford Park Department has electric zero turn ride-on mowers and some lighter duty electric equipment as well. They love showing it off. So I would definitely, I can reach out to them if you would like to be connect to your public works department about it. I had them demo them to me at one point and they seemed very happy with them. So I think they like showing them off. Regarding solar, I did, Chief Romy reached out to me about a year ago now, I think, and asked about kind of feasibility for rooftop solar at the public safety facility. And I gave him some information about sizing and pricing and what the kind of feasibility of it was. I can forward that information to you if you're interested. What else? I think the most important thing to note, and Brendan and I met with Efficiency Vermont regarding the Tracy Hall renovation as well a couple of months ago. And I think it's kind of important to note that in general, as you may or may not be familiar with, but for public facilities and for, life cycle vehicle purchases and things like that, there really aren't any like big money grant opportunities out there for this type of thing. I think a lot of people just kind of assume that there are, but certainly at this point in time, those big grant opportunities are very few and far between. It's always difficult to find state and federal money for those types of things. So if we're looking at actually funding these projects, there are some federal tax credits that we could maybe still leverage. The commercial federal tax credit for solar still exists, even though I'm sure you may or may not have heard the Trump administration rolled back a lot of the other tax credits. The residential solar tax credit ended at the end of last year, but I believe the commercial one is still available for the foreseeable future. So you're pretty much going to be looking at smaller incentives like that. The incentives that Efficiency Vermont and other GMP can offer for things like this are generally pretty modest in scale compared to the size of the project that you're talking about when you're talking about renovating Tracy Hall and things like that. There are a few low interest loan programs out there that are always available through the Vermont Bond Bank and a new one through the Buildings and General Services Department of the state. Those essentially act like municipal bonds. They still have to go through voter approval and things like that, but you can take advantage of lower interest rates from attaching yourself to those larger agencies with lower risk lending and that type of thing. So they are basically just bonds but with lower points. And that's that. I know there was also mention of the greenhouse gas emissions inventory and how it hasn't been updated in a couple of years. If that's something you're interested in, we can certainly rerun that and update that for today if you want. It's going to struggle from the same, I think, lack of good data that was noted in the Article 36 report originally until we have more a better handle on the vehicle information, the fuel consumption and the mileage from the vehicles. But heating fuel is a lot easier. That usually just goes through the town finance office and they have those on record. So that's it. Sorry, I know that was a lot, but yeah, happy to pursue any of those things that you're interested in. Also happy to be involved in Tracy Hall to whatever extent I would be helpful. So.
Okay, good information. Thank you.
Thanks, Harry.
Yep.
Thanks for being on our team. Anything else? Any other discussion from? No. It's hard to know exactly how to word it, but I think.
Yeah, right.
Hmm?
Like what's next, right?
Yeah. So I think what might be next is for each of us to maybe think this through for ourselves, come up with thoughts, maybe for a packet, but also to engage Rob, who I know is interested and was engaged in this. And I think the more preparation we have before he joins the conversation, maybe the better. We might ask town manager for any kind of data that we might have.
I was a little confused about tracking the fuel, whether that is done with an app or is it done with just receipts, or did we even have a tank for pour diesel at the transfer station that's filled up every now and then. Like, I would be interested in how that's tracked, and that's probably a town manager question of, or how to get that tracked. And it can't be that hard, but I don't know how convenient it is. So that's sort of would be an immediate town manager question for me. Is
Okay.
the best way to do that.
So maybe I can put together some questions and,
It should be actionable things. What can we do? Like the demonstration of the electric mowers, we could probably do that. See if Chief Romeo has priced out the solar for the public safety building. We can do that. What else did he say?
Look into the Chevy Blazer.
Chevy
EV
Blazer
package.
Yep.
Another one that we had was more off the, like Harry was mentioning, it was an off the shelf hybrid.
Right.
And so it wasn't sort of set up to handle the load.
Okay.
Even
We've got the Chevy Blazer, the demonstration of the mower, Hartford, solar for Chief Romeo. The how to track the fuel, a question for a town manager to figure out how to do that. I don't know about the financing yet. Maybe that's something to keep in mind, but
I'd probably look for solar out at DPW. And they have a few buildings there with roofs that face south.
well, they're
Right.
not
But
structurally
it depends on
sound.
whether we're going to be keeping those buildings in the future or not.
But I know I put 63 solar collectors on an old barn. It had no effect on it at all.
We did research it for the apparatus bay at DPW, and it's not strong enough. The roof is not strong enough.
Yeah.
And the building's basically shot.
Hmm.
So I think we should think larger in that context.
But if you could propose a solution there and you knew what the roof had to bear in
Oh, yeah,
the new
of
roof,
course.
you
Oh, yeah.
design for that.
Right.
So
Exactly.
getting the input now can't hurt.
That's true. You could basically figure out the area of your roof, for instance.
Yeah.
And if it was properly structurally sound, how much could you generate? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And again, the Sweetland Farm, I think they're almost, they might not even be net zero or below. They've got solar panels and everything.
Yeah.
It's just like lots and lots.
Yeah.
So
So
We could look into insulated garage doors and walls for the apparatus
yeah,
bay.
there's another one. Yeah.
Because tracking the fuel usage for that is very singular.
Yeah.
It's very easy to do. And
Yeah.
so if we were to insulate it better,
Yeah.
we could see our results pretty easily.
Yeah. I think I might look at decoupling the grants and tax incentives and so on from the ability to get something done. So if you can get it done, then you can look at what the cost of getting it done is.
Mhm.
And if the cost is too great right now, then we can't get it done. But if the cost can be managed,
Or we could do a reserve fund and build it up over some
possibly.
period of time or something. I agree with you. Just what is the possible capacity? What could we get out of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, if you can afford it without incentives, do it. Okay. So perhaps we table this until next meeting. Maybe produce thoughts if you have them.
Just a list of actionable items.
Sure. Or how to proceed, or who we should hire, or what the process should be for actually moving these things along.
Well,
I think something like insulation is additive, right? So it's always going to be part of the final equation, right? So it's not this or that. It's like
Right.
it's additive. So insulation could be a straightforward, readily done, maybe not too expensive thing, and then same building could have solar built in later on, heat pumps later on, whatever. So maybe to think of it in stages, perhaps.
Yeah. Does that come from us, or does that come from a consultant, or does that come from a working group, or does the town manager?
we could just organize the list of what we have tonight a little
Okay.
bit, you know, like I've thought about future solar for DPW, just, you know, what determine in the design phase for a new building, what the capacity would be. Just that's an action item, right? But that would come later because we're not quite ready to renovate that. But seeing a demonstration of a mower, that might be a little, you know, something we could do this spring when there's some grass, could see it.
Okay.
So of the things that we thought up, they could be slightly prioritized at least.
Yeah.
They're sort of small action items that we can think about, but
Actually, Mary, it's great you brought up Nora Lake and the electric farm tractor, because
Yes.
there's a yard work company based here in town,
mhm.
the electric lawns / rooted gardens,
Rooted gardens, right?
Matt and Christina.
Right.
So
Yes.
Matt has a fleet of 7 or 8 secondhand electric stand-on mowers.
Mhm.
And he didn't buy the latest and greatest. He bought old inventory and
Right.
refurbished it. And as far as I know, he's running a very successful business. He's got a huge client
Mhm.
list.
And I spoke to him and he's willing to be involved. And I believe he's spoken to Chris in the past about recently converting.
Now, another idea might be just reconvene Article 36 and have them do this research if, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I'm feeling, I guess I feel a little uncomfortable us being the decision makers. I feel like the people with expertise ought to be telling us what they advise be done, and then we vote on that, rather than our being the people who are pretending to have expertise in this area.
Right, right.
Well, I think Mary's saying how we enable and get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
To do that.
And then we hand over the expertise decision-making to them.
Right. Well, I mean, a lot of this is research. I mean, even in the point of adding insulation, how much, what's your square footage, what R value do you want? You know, that's sort of more basic research, but someone else could do that. Like I think our duty is to just try to initiate these things.
Right.
And I think as policy, you know, you can make a policy document just to get as far along with Article 36 goals as is practical, you know. And then what if it's not practical? I don't know if something like carbon credits is still considered anything that's actually real or not, but that's another research question.
Yeah.
You seem to have a pretty good actionable list that you've written down.
Yes, so
Maybe
put that into
you could put that into a memo and share it
Yes,
in
I'll
the
do
next
that.
packet.
Yeah.
And we could talk about that and then maybe distribute the action items to the appropriate people
Yes.
to take that action. A lot of them might be,
Okay.
figure out how much this would cost.
Yeah.
And then come back to us with that information. And then we could put together more of a, comprehensive.
So we'll create a
Policy.
memo with these ideas to delegate to sort of researchers.
Yeah. If there's certain ones that are pretty easy and we can decide whether the cost is worth the benefit,
Okay.
that's great. If there's if there's certain ones that are really long-term, like we need to keep in mind, super insulation for Tracy Hall, the next version of the Public Works building and
Yeah.
the apparatus bay, then that's
Future.
that's future, but
Yeah.
it's on our list and in
Yes.
our hearts.
Okay, I will do that.
I do want to reach out, Jude, your comments, I felt your comments very,
On the,
deeply. Only because I know it has become impossible to build inexpensively.
That is correct. Even a tiny house.
Even if you build it yourself, it's impossible.
That is absolutely, that's what I've been confronted with.
Yeah.
So, tiny house.
So I don't think that Article 36 had any intention to make it more difficult or more expensive for people to build homes. That's coming from the state.
No, you are exactly right, and I am a little off base. I mean,
No, but-
only in as much as it might create an appetite for municipal purchases, such as a whole new fleet of squad cars,
Right.
which would then be reflected in the tax base,
Yeah.
which would then stack with all of the other obstacles towards building and livability. Only indirectly. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that
Mary?
And there is, as far as housing, I think there's modular housing that can be somewhat, less expensive, built in factories and put together in units. And a famous example is the Vermont manufactured homes made down on Route 5 in Hartford, which are super insulated. I think, and they have ground source heat pump and solar. So like their utilities are like $16 a month.
Yeah.
So there are some, but it's still not. It's not like you could build a log cabin or something and survive in it. It's like build the next thing. It's just really different. Housing.
Linda Gray gets the last word on this.
Linda Gray.
Hi, thank you very much again. And I just wanted to say the last part of your discussion where you were moving toward not yourselves looking at the distinct list of possible actions, but looking toward who to commission to carry them out. And so I would encourage you for your next discussion, when Rob is able to join you, to be thinking through whether just highlighting and prioritizing this with the town manager and with Harry Falconer, or whether you need to recruit a small citizen group to weigh in as well, to try to think through which avenues make the most sense to you. I think staff is certainly capable of doing this, and if you just give them the assignment and prioritize the work. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Shall we
move on?
Call it quits for the day? Good. And this will be back on the agenda in 2 weeks. Terrific. Item 6, Citizen Assistant Fund Request. We have a request from Brennan Duffy, Town Manager. The town, by the town service office, received requests from a Norwich resident for financial assistance. It would help pay for 2 months of upcoming rental payment. The fund balance is currently $12,354. The town manager recommends approving $1,200 to help the applicant. Is there any discussion on this? Seems like a charitable and nice thing to do.
A very good effort, and I support it.
Any comments?
Well documented.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do I move?
Yeah.
I move to authorize the expenditure of $1,200 from the Citizen Assistant Fund number 33 for assistance to a Norwich resident.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. Klassen.
I'm a yes.
Layton.
Yes.
Here's not here. Sweat.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Perfect. Passes. All right, item number 7. Town credit card payment process. Discussion, possible motion. We have letters from Barry, Rosalinda, our finance director. We have a Visa card with a $10,000 limit. Apparently there is an issue sometimes when the credit card bill comes, it becomes due a certain number of days later, and if the select board doesn't meet in the interim to sign lost my word.
Off-cycle warrant.
Just to sign the warrant.
Regular
meeting.
Yep.
The bill can go unpaid, and there may be fees to pay. And apparently, it's possible the town manager's personal credit is impacted. So we're looking for a way to pay timely. I had some questions about this, but perhaps our town manager, do you have anything else to add, or?
No, I think that was a good synopsis. You've all read the memo from Barry, which I think spells it out clearly. As you mentioned, the issue is a timing issue where we are receiving bills, but before we can have them approved in a warrant by the select board, and then mail a hard copy check to Missouri, we're often missing the deadline, which results in a couple things, a late fee that gets assessed to the town, a halt to the card, so it basically gets frozen until they're paid in full. And also it is impacting because I was the person in the town that put their social security number on as kind of the human involved in this agreement. It is impacting my credit negatively when that gets shut down for lack of payment. And we have had, in the last 3 months, 2 missed payments. So we were late in January, we were on time in February, we were late in March. We are gonna have to make a decision tonight because our deadline for the payment for April is April 10th. It's April 8th now. So what Barry has proposed is trying to make this as required. Like, if we know we're not going to have time to get a warrant approved and mailed out to the credit card company in time for it to arrive timely, to make an electronic transfer. And that is a fairly common practice. I think a lot of people are just set up to do that for their normal credit card bills. And it would require the treasurer allowing monies to be removed, a specific amount of money to be removed on a one-time basis to make the payment. And once that authorization has occurred, our payment is considered paid timely. So there's kind of the immediate need to do that tomorrow so that the April 10th bill is paid on time. And then I think we were asking the board to adopt the policy that in a time when we know we're not going to have the time to get a check cut and mailed, that we would just default to having a electronic payment authorization. And I think the other thing to remember from the board standpoint is, all of these payments on the card have already occurred. So there's no real change to the check and balance here of the board seeing the payments and making an approval in the warrant. In the case where we're going to make an electronic payment and maybe the board hasn't met before then, which I think would be unlikely, we would have that as an FYI in the next, in the next packet, I guess, this is what the bills were that were paid electronically. I think in most cases, the board will have time to meet before at the 10th. Not always. It depends on the month and when the second meeting in Wednesday occurs. But anyway, we all felt this was, we being finance office and myself, felt that it was a fairly straightforward request to make payments through an electronic means where we would phone in, get authorization, have the specific amount taken from the town account, and then get a receipt confirmation that that was done. Again, we feel there's very little risk there because there are, there's no ability for them to re-enter the account. And the treasurer had expressed a little concern about that, and I'd like to understand that better. The other option, which I don't think would work for the short term of paying this tomorrow, maybe it would be to use another account, not the general fund, but an account that would have less cash available in that, and just use that account for the transfers. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I hope that made sense to folks. It's, I think, fairly straightforward.
Yes.
I'm a little confused. So when the town has a credit card, is the town manager expected to be personally the person who is responsible for it? I don't understand how that works. And also, what is the risk, like on the recommended option, establishing Eland Financial as an approved vendor at the bank? What are the risks there? I don't see why the town manager's credit has to be involved in this at all. And also, not quite sure if establishing Eland Financial as an approved vendor just creates more risk for us or not.
Well, I
For
can
the
answer
town.
I can answer the first question if you'd like.
Okay,
So
sure.
when we
Would like.
applied for the credit card, which I think this current card has been there for maybe, excuse me, a year and a half. It could be 2 years. The last credit card had a finance director from long ago. I believe it was Rosemary. Is that right?
Roberta.
Roberta Roberts. So I had to, on behalf of the town, fill out an application. The application required my social security number in order to get the card approved, which at the time I wasn't crazy about, but there didn't seem to be another solution that would get us a card that we could use for town business. So I did that.
So I would think that Roberta would have had to do that as well. I'm just wondering, is this what has to happen in any town?
Yeah.
When there's a credit card, like some town employee or some person has to be the one who, that it's assigned to? Is that,
I think that's
understanding
exactly
that correctly?
right. I think you're understanding that correctly. The card
Okay.
can't be issued to EIN. They're looking
right.
for somebody that they can hold responsible
So
for
they need a
the
human.
payment.
So you'll see a letter from me in the next packet, I think, but I wrote in asking why this can't be solved by just doing an off-cycle warrant signed by me or the vice chair. We're here every day, easy. We live nearby. Just seemed like
I had that question
come in, sign it, done.
So
I guess what I'm looking for is the simplest possible solution.
Yeah, the finance director responded. You read that, I believe, Kimo, yes?
I did, but it didn't make sense to me. So
I'd like to hear the answer too. So I have the same question.
It's the recurring timing issue. So we are still concerned that even in an off cycle, we would have, basically relying on the U.S. mail, 5 to 7 days potentially to get a check cut, signed, mailed, delivered to Missouri, and that there could still be the risk that we would be late on the payment. And that it also creates a additional warrant that then the finance office is tasked with creating. So there is additional work in that office.
Yeah.
So that was the finance director's
timely.
opinion, is that is not an efficient way to do this. The most efficient way would be to just get authorization to do a phone-in direct electronic transfer when we're facing a time issue.
And you're asking to set that up to be used with only when you need to. So when there's not, or would you always would you be paying it every month?
No, I think we would want to have the ability to pay it electronically. And if there was a concern that we were going to miss a payment or we were going to have a late payment based on the deadline and the approval, that we would go to that as the means of payment. But I think, again, this hasn't happened historically. It's happened a few times, I think, before this current year. And for whatever reason, we've had timing issues where we've missed it twice in the last 3 months, going on 3 times in the last 4 months. So it just is, again, a process that I think can be done efficiently and simply. And the finance director, myself, and when we spoke with a representative of the credit card company, their suggestion was, well, why don't you just do that? It would make it a whole lot simpler just to have the funds done electronically, and it happens, the day of. You're not relying on a third party like the U.S. Postal Service.
And that would be your recommendation number 1 on the memo?
That would be recommendation 1 would be that the funds are just taken out of the general fund. So, option 2 would be the same process, but we would establish, we have established another fund. We would put money into that fund enough that we were comfortable we'd always have a cushion there to pay the bill, which, you've seen these in the warrants. It's usually $3,000, maybe $4,000 average on a month. So I think that would be the second option. Takes a little more effort, but would potentially satisfy a concern of the treasurer that the general fund is being tapped for this, which again, the finance director and I are not sharing that same concern, but we're not in control of that either.
Can I raise something here?
Yeah.
So, Brennan, the expenditures are usually recurring subscriptions and predictable payments. So presumably the balance is kind of about the same, fluctuating a small amount.
Do we know that?
I think it's also used for stuff that you
Like
can't buy
one-offs.
otherwise.
But the limit is $10,000.
Yeah, but it's not a huge amount.
So it's never more than 10. So tonight we're going to be asked to approve a warrant in the amount of $358,000 from the general fund. I don't see how this credit card thing seems to be it seems very clunky for a small recurring amount that if we wait for the select board to approve it, it's more like we're getting in the way.
Mhm. I agree.
And let alone the mail payments of 5 to 7 days, which is
Right.
So-
That's not going to work
so can
very smoothly.
this be kind of dealt with finance office or the treasurer or
Well,
something?
Did you like at the in the memo, this sort of option one here?
Yeah.
For the elect-
But
you
it
have
says the downside is that the payment may occur before the select board approve the payment. A lot of payments we don't approve beforehand.
No, we approve payments before they're made.
Before, so that's the warrant, the 358,000.
Yeah.
So everything's
And that's the problem.
pre-approved.
If we wait for the warrant.
Well, what if we
This
approve,
is-
what if we approve the limit? Isn't that the controlling factor? Well,
Yeah, the limit.
It's probably higher than it needs to be, right? Probably doesn't go up to 10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. But is it something we need to be sort of gatekeeping? If it's like, if it's a Zoom subscription or
Well,
a coffee supplies or whatever it is.
Right.
But can this be handled sort of?
All of the expenses, we're going to see all the same expenses. So whether.
Just will have been paid before we actually sign off on them.
Right.
In the event that they need to
Sometimes.
pay it and can't do it with a check.
Right.
So, and I keep coming up with, certainly you've pointed out the scale of this is small. And what is the risk that establishing Elon Financial as an approved vendor at the bank, exposes us to, especially if the limit of the credit card is like 10 grand anyways.
Not much risk, I don't think.
That would be the main question that I would have. So, and I don't know whether, so I'm going to
Just the scale puts an
Where's that
enormous
risk?
burden on late fees and
Mhm.
credit score impacts,
Yeah.
which doesn't seem
So maybe-
sensible.
It doesn't seem like we're being very good to our employee. To
No.
put our employee in a position where his credit's
Agreed.
correct.
Right.
So I don't like
Okay.
that idea.
Cheryl has a
Let
comment?
me go to the public. Would you like to?
Good.
I have a lot to say, but I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. To Brennan's point about the old credit card, I was the only living person in this building that still was attached to it, and that was causing problems. So I helped research a way to get a different credit card, start fresh, have something new. In that process, because banks are always contacting me about town money, they love to have more of our money. I spoke with Bar Harbor, and they had a credit card option. When we went through the process, I was expecting to be the one on the credit card as they contact. I was excluded from that as the process moved forward. So I have no access at all to the credit card information as treasurer. Some might say that's fine. So Brennan took the position of being the one to sign his name on the application. So that I could refresh my memory, I called Bar Harbor Bank and asked a few questions this week. And she reminded me on the application for it that there is no personal guarantee needed on this credit card. The need of an individual's name is to have a point person to answer questions when there's somebody that needs that. Now, I don't know, again, who is on the credit card or who has access. It sounds like Barry must. I know that Brennan took over that application process, so I'm only guessing, but she must have that access. I did have a chance to briefly discuss some of this before I went on vacation. I was gone and things have needed to be moved forward. My understanding as well is that the credit card has recurring charges. I would imagine, but I can't be sure, that there's a portal. If we're going to go to one to pay, we can go to one to get a statement. So we don't need to wait until a statement arrives in the mail. Could expedite the month-end process of that statement cutoff. So you go get the statement, just like you can get a bank statement.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for
a
it to
few
come in the
days.
mail.
Yeah.
So you could get that off the portal and start processing. And to my understanding from talking briefly to Barry, there are recurring regular charges and there are department heads that use the card for other purchases. And the understanding is that the person that takes the credit card to use it, the employee, I should say, comes back with the card and an invoice to pay from what they just went and charged. So you should have immediate documentation on what was just
in real time
put on the credit card. So there again, you have that when you print the statement off, you have your regular charges, you have any additional ones, and a check could be created and an off-cycle payment could be done very easily, in my opinion, as well. I think that that's a reasonable.
And this would be done by the finance director or the town treasurer? Or?
No, the finance office would handle the expenditure, just like as always. It would just be one warrant item to present to you or Chemo to sign off, review it. You can look at the detail. It's just one item and you could see what was expended.
Outside this forum?
Yeah, just like any
Maybe
off-cycle.
2 weeks later. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
I guess what I was expecting you to say was that way before the second meeting of each month, a statement could be downloaded and the payment could be made based on that statement.
That's, I would think. I get credit card statements in the mail, but I can go online and print it.
But we wouldn't need an off-cycle.
I don't know how that would align with the due date. Well, or just with the due date.
Yeah.
So if you are able to do off-cycle warrants, you've solved it regardless of when the payment gets created. You've eliminated a worry of time. So to further remind the table of select board members that as treasurer and elected, I am the one in charge of the bank accounts. And over the years, things have gone mostly smoothly. If you were here in town in 2019 and 2020, we had a situation that occurred that nobody wanted. And we were, cared for well with the help of the LCT to replenish what was.
So it was like a business email scam thing with our.
Well, it was
How would you describe
procedure.
it?
I would say that
I don't know if I'm using proper terminology, but Brennan.
that's what it was called. But what it really was pressure on the treasurer to do something with a new employee that hadn't even been in the office a month, that because of a delay in hiring a new finance director and having adequate training. So I was pressed to open up banking opportunities to the new person at a very quick pace. And that resulted in an unfortunate series of things that occurred. Now, bringing it back, therefore, my goal is to protect the operating account, which has millions of dollars in it. So the fewer number of electronic transactions, the better. And I have actually worked with the finance office to establish other accounts to avoid giving out our banking information on the operating account. And that's my position as treasurer of where I stand. And I am more than happy to work out an arrangement off of the operating account, as is mentioned. An off-cycle warrant can work, in my opinion, easily. And when necessary, if a payment is going to be made, it comes out of something other than our very large operating account. And so those are the reasons behind my position and the reason I am here to protect the bank accounts of the town.
Right, so I'm concerned that I don't understand my position, our position correctly. You are the treasurer. You're an elected official.
Yes.
And I don't know what level of oversight, if any, you have over the decision-making that we're being asked to consider. So I think this is correct in saying that what the town manager is proposing sounds on the face of it like a reasonable solution that most of us will consider for our own finances. I don't know that we can vote yay or nay without the approval of the treasurer who oversees finance.
It sounds like a,
No, I don't want you to. I mean, that's it. So I am in charge of the banking of the town, right?
Yeah.
That's what I am in charge of the banking. I brought with me the old municipal government. I'm right there with you guys, elected officials, right? Here's the voters.
Yeah.
They elect us.
So that verifies what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So could I ask the town manager, can I interrupt?
Yes. Yes.
Brendan, would it be possible to make a regular query of the bank on the 15th of the month to find out what the balance is at that point and pay that balance?
Are you saying the credit card company?
Yeah,
Not the bank.
yeah, sorry, the credit card company. Just as a regular thing, every month on the 15th, we get our balance, we pay that balance so that it's well ahead of schedule. It appears on our probably second
or the
monthly
second
meeting.
the second meeting.
Yeah. Or it could be the 10th. Would that be a mechanism that would make everybody happy? It could still make a
I
payment
don't
on
think
time.
so. I think this has really gotten so complicated when it seems to me so simple. We wouldn't pay the balance in full necessarily then. I mean, we require the credit card company to close out the month, just like all of us deal with on a personal credit card, right? We all know how this works. So you have to get to the end of your billing date, and then the bill is mailed normally from there. There may be an opportunity to get that final bill earlier by doing an electronic query, but I don't think it still relies on timing of when the board is going to meet, when the board is going to approve this. So again, I don't understand the reluctance of the treasurer. The treasurer is going to be required to sign off on this tomorrow. If she's not going to do that, I'd like to know that tonight, that this electronic payment is not going to be made and that this is going to be a late fee to the town and that my credit will be affected negatively. I will likely remove myself from the credit card at that point. So if anyone else would like to put their name on, or as I was told, it was a requirement that a social security number is associated with the name, that would be a way to continue the card. Option two, Cheryl, and again, I will say, I really wish we could have had this conversation Monday, Tuesday, sometime today. So we're not doing this in the middle of a public meeting. But I really wish the option two would be considered then, which is if Cheryl truly is concerned that the general fund would be at risk for an authorized payment of a specific amount to be withdrawn, then why don't we do option two, where we set up a smaller account with enough money to always pay a credit card bill, and then that's the account that is tapped with a withdrawal that must be done for time reasons electronically. Would that be acceptable?
First of all, I have come back from a week away, and I have been actually in Rutland yesterday teaching treasurers. And today I've been in Lister training, and I will be tomorrow. So unfortunately my schedule didn't collide, or did collide, with what you would hope. And I haven't felt that great. But anyway, I again did say earlier that using a different account is my preference, and that is agreeable to me. And I'm happy to work with that idea as my preference.
So Cheryl, tomorrow, can we transfer enough money into the account that Barry has suggested in her memo immediately in the morning so that that can be funded? And then can we have your authorization to withdraw the amount of the credit card payment from that account tomorrow so that that money can be paid timely?
So happy to be of assistance. I don't know exactly what that means. Do I need to be in Barry's office? Is that what you're saying?
You as the treasurer have the account numbers, and you as the treasurer have to authorize the transfer of funds. So it would require you taking some effort and some action tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to work. I will be in training. I'll be here in the building. So I'm happy to work with Barry on that matter. I'm sure I can break away for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, to do that, so that we can make that work. And by the way, Brennan, I did ask about, the credit, and I really hope that you'll call and ask about that, because there should be absolutely no effect on your personal credit rating, according to what was found out by me through Bar Harbor.
That's what's confusing me.
Twice, I was told differently by a supervisor.
But I don't think this matters.
Well, I just want to say I found that out. I hope that's helpful.
We're looking for a solution. I think we found.
I think we have a solution.
But I think going forward, even though hopefully these frequencies of late payments and
disappear,
late fees and things will disappear, but there may be a rare instance where a payment is missed through some inexplicable large payment, or the credit limit is reached, or something crazy. And I think we need to know, is someone's personal credit score being impacted or not? Like, which is it?
Exactly.
Well, the personal guarantee needed credit card approval is based on your organization, not your personal assets.
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you.
So
I think we can do that research, but it shouldn't.
I have done that research. I've
offline.
talked to a supervisor at Alon Financial. I'm very confident that my credit is being affected when we make a late payment.
So let's
but we do have
make that go.
go away.
Well, we shouldn't.
Recommended option 2 is acceptable to all parties.
Sounds like it.
Understand it.
I'm good.
Would anyone like to move item number 7?
I'd be happy to do that.
I don't know what you're moving. I'll be interested.
Now, what is the terminology now?
I mean,
so what is
I move to embrace option 2 for the setting up of an auxiliary account to protect the general fund from which payments to the credit card can be made. That makes sense.
and we do have an existing account that can be used, so we don't need.
Existing.
Yes, there is an existing.
Auxiliary.
That's right.
We have a motion here. And the motion is I move to embrace,
Adopt option 2
adopt.
as recommended by Finance Director
and the treasurer
and Treasurer
and the town manager.
and Town Manager.
Okay. Finance director. Anybody else getting this? Director, treasurer, and town manager.
Mhm.
Does this mention the already established bank account? Your motion?
To use an already established, I'm writing this down. Is this correct? Already established account?
EFT, entitled EFT.
Entitled EFT?
EFT.
That's the account?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the purpose of servicing credit card debt payments.
Is this as needed or is this going to be in your motion?
Will this be as needed or on a regular basis?
I think it can be as needed. I mean, we have certainly times when we've been able to make the timing of the card and everything has been fine. So I guess this would be as needed.
Back up. Okay.
Okay.
By the payment due date.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
I don't know if it could be part of this motion or the second motion, but it would be to direct the treasurer to allow the transfer of funds and direct the treasurer to allow these transfers of funds. So what's going to happen, we don't have enough money in the EFT account today. So we are going to have Cheryl's cooperation to move money electronically tomorrow. It's going to have to go into the EFT account. And then we're going to have Cheryl authorize that the amount of the credit card bill is to come out of that specific account. So I think that might be helpful.
In the organizational chart, we're level with Cheryl, so we can't really direct her.
Maybe direct is the wrong word then. Maybe
I would agree. Thank you.
Request.
Right. But you've expressed that you will be able to do that.
Yes.
So we hope and trust, but I don't think that needs to be in a motion.
And I believe that all of that needs to happen by definition for any of these accounts. In other words, there's no way to make number 2 happen without doing what you just said.
Well, no.
Correct. For tomorrow.
It's going to have enough in it.
And for recurring payments. So if you're comfortable that internally we can make that happen, that's fine. I had suggested $20,000 as a buffer there that would be placed into that account. I don't know if that's up to me or the board or the treasurer, but we want to have enough so that we're not probably constantly moving money back and forth between accounts.
What's the cash flow?
Transferring's not spending, so that's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. And these transfers can occur. I mean,
Transfer
that's
100,000 if you want.
And unfortunately, the relationship I established for the town.
Transfers.
Yeah, so it
Just
seems
running a motion is difficult to do
to
on the
me
floor.
that in some ways we're making a recommendation to somebody who's an elected official to allow this to happen, along with approving
The expenditure.
approving the option 2. So I'm not sure whether we make a recommendation to allow this or because that covers everybody.
What do you have so far on the motion?
I move to adopt option 2 as recommended by the finance director, treasurer, and town manager to use an already established account entitled EFT as needed for electronic credit card payments.
It might be enough.
Sure.
Right there.
That's fine.
I mean, because really what we're asking people to do is work together, right?
Right.
That's right.
And everybody has already said that they are willing to work together,
So we don't need to
so
stipulate.
we can move
Right.
ahead.
You don't
Yeah.
have to.
And actually, option 2 is not recommended by the finance office, strictly speaking. Proposed, they actually recommend option 1.
Well, it's recommended options for implementation at the top.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
There's one-
And the treasurer recommends to.
So
I wouldn't put proposed options.
someone moved this.
I did.
All right. Would you like to reread?
Better repeat it. Yeah.
Read your writing.
Can you say it slowly?
I moved to adopt option 2 as recommended by finance director, town treasurer, town manager to
Use
use
an already
an already established account subtitled EFT as needed
for electronic.
for electronic credit card payments.
Good. Like that. I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
So this, if it's clear from what,
Chris, Matt,
I was going to just,
Thanks, Chemo. So Chris Clement, Waterman Hill. I just want to take the time right here during this particular section of the meeting to thank our treasurer for an amazing number of years of trying to protect this town at many levels And given that the town just saw that we're about to go through the hiring process of yet another new finance director, I think Cheryl's concerns are valid. It's one thing when you've had Roberta for 20 years, and with Barry leaving, I think Barry's been great, but we're about to go into embark on another finance director, and I think that Cheryl's putting some stopgaps and some checks and balances that I think are well needed. So I just want to take the time to say, appreciation to Cheryl and you guys for listening to her as elected officials. I think that's really great. So that's it. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I
Thank you.
second those sentiments.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
I just, in these withdrawals, these will likely be before you've approved it. Is that what we're understanding in this motion and what you're approving? So you will approve in hindsight or afterwards,
Post hoc.
Some of them, yes.
which,
That's a danger.
well, again, the statutes say the treasurer will sign checks and whatever upon the order approval of the select board. And I think tonight you had been asked to approve something, or no, you did not? Is there a warrant with this expenditure listed tonight?
Is it similar to approving an expenditure up to a certain amount so that we would be up to the credit card limit?
No.
No.
So what I'm saying is, I thought maybe Brennan can answer the question. Is there something here tonight for them to approve on a warrant, Brennan, that has the payment? Okay.
The charges for the credit card are all listed on the AP warrant for tonight.
The packet.
So tonight, this will be approved.
Okay, thank you. That's the question I was asking.
Good. That's it. Perfect.
Some closing discussion. Let's have a vote. Klassen,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes.
here's not here, Sweat. Yes. And I'm a yes.
Okay.
Item 7 passes. Thank you very much for your input, everyone. I'm glad that we have a mutually agreeable solution. Item 8 is Tracy Hall Working Group proposal. This comes from me. The proposal is to form a working group. This will be the first working group in this go-around to attend to the development of ideas and concepts to guide decision-making for Tracy Hall restoration, rehab, and redesign. I presume you've all read it. I don't think it's much there. I want to be very clear that my goal here is not to lead the project or the discussion. My goal here is to make a discussion happen, allow a discussion to happen that can help us understand what Tracy Hall holds for us for the next generation, 100 years. And with that knowledge of what people think might be done or can't be done or should be done, putting the projects in the assessment report into perspective before we spend significant amounts of money. That just makes sense to me as a.
So I like the proposal very much. I think it's timely. It's a great direction to move in. All I would do, I don't think this is yet a charge, but I think all the concept to me is good. But I would want to know, how large is this group? Who would be invited to be on it? When would it sunset? Or would it have an interim report and then a final report? Like just very specific elements like that. And in the past, we've actually approved who is appointed to a committee, which we called a committee in the old days. And that's probably, probably a pretty good idea. So the people that you might invite, kind of the way we appoint to boards and things, would show up, or, somehow that we would approve who's on it.
Well, I guess you've asked Chemo for permission to assemble a group of volunteers and begin the work.
But I'd like to know who they are. I mean, I had to do that. We had to do that with childcare. The people step forward and
Not about it. I found myself a little
flabbergasted.
I couldn't form a group without getting permission. to
Yeah,
form
it's
a
like
group.
chicken and the egg,
So,
right?
I know some of the people who are interested.
Right.
But I also hope to flesh out more by holding a public meeting. Because it has to be announced and people will hopefully arrive and show up and express an interest.
That's the way to do it.
So.
And would you want to, I mean, I think when we were considering the public safety building that's there now, I think there was a committee with like 12 citizens on it. It got a little sprawling and it got a little imaginative.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it got to be 3 stories, a basement. Eventually you move the apparatus bay, or it might be in Route 5. You know, it kind of morphed into something that I think the town needed it to be. They needed to have a good sense of value. You know, it was the right scale, the right spot. You know, it would meet the needs of the town. So it's kind of easy to have it mushroom.
But Tracy is not just utilitarian, it's very symbolic and very emotional as well. It's a different thing, I think.
Well, I'm just saying, how is this being shaped beyond? I think the concept is great. And I think involving the public is great, but how many people, who's going to be on it? You know, I mean, one of your suggestions is Doug Sensala. That kind of makes sense because he did the needs assessment, but what particular people should be on a working committee to make these, you know, or could you do it as just a visioning public hearing with a visioning thing and the little dots and stuff?
It's a big project. You'll need a critical number, right? It's a big ask.
But what are you trying to do? What are you trying to find out?
I think some of the questions that you asked originally are the questions that I was assuming was going to be on our standard working group form.
Like a template.
Yeah, exactly right. That. So before we can approve a working group, we need to see the form, and the form would include the charge.
How many people?
Like how many people, the time. I think we spoke before about a time frame.
Yeah.
And I'd have to go back to my notes from last meeting, but I think we talked about certain things that were standard for every working group that should be on a form.
That would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Also,
and then we could more intelligently say, yeah, go for it. Like, maybe the charge is something that we wanted to tweak a little bit before you go off and do it. I think this is a great try. By the way, this is a great trial thing to figure out how we're going to do.
Charge, how many people, time frame.
I think it can be simple. Yeah. And maybe it's just, I think a lot of these might have a core group of people that are part of the working group, but then when you announce the meeting of the working group, you're really trying to attract a much larger group.
You can convene people.
Yeah, or it's public, right?
And
so
it's public, so the public can show up and give input.
Right.
And especially if you have agenda, there might be a particular aspect where people want to come in and give input.
So here's my, getting started is hard because if I have a working group, that suggests that I've talked to people. Right. So I can talk to people individually, but if I have coffee with 4 or 5 people, suddenly I'm in open meeting law territory, maybe.
Not before something's formed, right? You're just trying to figure out.
You're having one-on-ones to recruit people.
So I can recruit their interest. Go ahead and have meetings with people without forming a working group, and that's okay.
But why would you be meeting with them before you want to form the group? I don't get it.
Well, I mean, you'd want to have, ideally, all of us would rather have an informal group that doesn't have any requirements than a formal.
Well, okay, but like, what are really the goals of this? You sort of base it on what do you want? What do you want to know? And I don't know, November of 2026, so that we can get started. What do we really need to know? And then people can show up, one of these meetings or just contact you. I'm interested.
So you think it's okay for me to meet with 3 or 4 or 5 people and figure out what the charge would be before forming the working group and requiring public meetings? I'm trying to assess this.
Chemo.
I don't want to step on toes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would strongly urge you not to do that. That is how I think we ran afoul. We ended up in a costly lawsuit around convening groups, meeting in public. I think one-on-one conversations like, hey, would you like to be part of a housing working group or a Tracy Hall working group is fine. But I would not recommend meeting with a group and talking about town business without warning it as in the open meeting law vein that we've all discussed.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I asked. You said meeting with 3 or 4 people. I said individually, and you didn't answer.
Right. Well, I'm trying to figure out how you come up with the charge and the purpose and thing without having a small. So my thought was, I get permission to form the group, and then
do brainstorming.
Yeah.
So, well, maybe I mean, you got a good statement about why it's needed, but maybe a goal of the working group is brainstorming the best solutions. Just leave it like that.
We just solicit expressions of interest to join a group. And you have it.
If that's what you want. I mean, is that your vision of what would be helpful? Is to have a lot of input from different people in the community, right?
Oh, yeah.
All that brainstorming.
But to Mary's point, how big do you make it? Do you have engineers, architects, energy experts?
Well, you could bring those in. Yeah.
Do you bring them in early or do you bring them in later?
I think later.
Later.
I mean, given the expertise we have in town, yeah, later. I mean.
So it does sound like a visioning thing to me.
Yes. Right.
So what's the best way to do that, right?
Yes. So I understand you'd like this to have something else.
No, I just don't think it's not structured as far as who is going to do this visioning. Like, what's the structure of it? I mean, with the childcare committee, it was mostly about affordability and ways to deliver affordability. That was it. And there can be things like informal networks of relatives, or there could be subsidies from the federal government. But that was really our central theme. And this seems to be more, I mean, it might be harder to define what this really is. It's like, what does Tracy Hall mean to us? Something more amorphous like that. Right?
Yeah.
And we want it to be an enduring symbol for the next 87 years, something like that. That's a little harder than.
I think what I'm really
making
asking
it
for
affordable.
permission to have a discussion, to hold a public discussion about this. I don't want to state what the purpose is because that's me driving the process. I want to find out what other people think and oversee the process and make sure it's legal.
I just wonder,
how do I do that?
I just wonder whether it would be more of a visioning event, like when we, a member of a church that wandered all over the Upper Valley because we had real estate, but it wasn't big enough for our congregation. So we met at the Marian Cross and Methodist Church in Lebanon. And then we had a visioning session, and it just started to coalesce into something that actually was actionable, made sense. We had the finances, and it's out there on Route 5.
But I can't do that without getting permission to do that.
Right, but that would be more than I don't know if it's a working group. It might be a visioning exercise, and you get a facilitator or something. I mean, we had a minister who was a phenomenal facilitator, and that makes a huge difference.
But you didn't know you were doing that until you got there.
Well, also, we didn't have the oomph to do it for like 20 years. We wandered kind of like people in the desert, and then it's like, now we got to do this. And people really wanted to do it. Right.
Yeah.
So then that visioning worked because people were like, yep, we're ready to do it. But what's it going to look like? What's everybody's idea? So.
Okay.
So you think a public meeting will get us there?
Matt, do you have your hand up? Jan, I'm sorry. I'm going to take a public
comment. I'll stop talking for a while.
Jan.
Yes. Hi. I think it might be useful to separate the generic best practices to set up working groups that we're trying to figure out from the Tracy Hall example, if the Tracy Hall example is going to be too complicated to help us work the process out. I mean, the process does have a certain chicken and egg to it, where you really have a topic that you're pretty sure is worth a separate activity, and you have a kernel of a starting point, which might be a person, it might be a few sentences, and the first thing that is assigned to that group is to come back with a more detailed charge statement, a more detailed what are we going to do and time frame. But you've got to go back and forth a couple times for that to get finalized. To wait for that detail to all be done before you can start, you just get stuck in an endless loop. So I think if you have good reason to believe that this topic is worthy of an outside exercise, then get just enough to identify a lead person and a topic, and then say your job is to come back to us after having some discussions and talk about it. If you're going to have discussions with more than one or two people at a time, then just warn it. But your first item on the agenda is to come up with your charter and your draft scope of work. So I don't think we need to make it too complicated to get off the ground.
That sounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was sort of my
Simple
goal.
sounds good. So we're back to your memo here, where it seems like we have that topic and that starting point and that person. And so maybe we were at the right point to say.
Is that person chemo though?
Well,
As the author?
I mean, yeah, yes, that's what I was assuming as the person proposing it. And so maybe we are at this point where we can say, yes.
Just sand and oysters, chemo.
Yeah.
Grow some pearls, yeah.
Doesn't mean you're on the hook for everything.
Pearls, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm asking British to assemble a group of volunteers, begin the work. That's basically all I'm asking.
Mhm.
Okay, well, as long as we're, within our open meeting law restrictions, I think it's fine.
That's the whole goal here.
How you do it.
Well, yeah, and then it's my job to develop that. But we do have some templates that we've been developing with the town manager's office.
Would they be out by the next packet?
Yes, I can have those. I'm still reviewing them, but we have them.
Like I could use one if I have a
Yes.
scheme for.
Yeah, so they're I think Britta in particular is very good about, getting forms that show who's present, active participants and so on, note taking, a copy of all the different things we need to do with agendas and how they get posted and so on. So I feel like we have the basis for doing this properly.
Okay.
And I guess I'd like permission to try this. But
To try what? The template or the?
to try to form a working group, to assemble a group of volunteers and begin the work.
And then fill in the working group template
The
afterwards.
first thing we would do would be to fill in the charge.
Yeah.
I don't want to fill in a charge because I don't want to be seen as leading. That's not proper for my role, I don't think. My role is to make sure the open meeting law is observed and to allow discussion to happen. There's currently doesn't have a place.
So
then it may be that nobody's interested.
No, I'm really interested. I just want it to be just a public process so that others can, maybe it would be a Zoom meeting or something. Maybe there'd be minutes, just so that people know what's going on with it and who's involved with it. That's all.
Yeah.
It has to be warned. It has to have minutes. They have to be posted. It has to operate according to the open meeting law in every respect, just like a committee. But
And has to have as many people as possible come to it.
well, people can come if they want.
Yeah. The more the better.
I'm going to be holding it in a closet, but
The more public it is then.
yes, the more public it is.
Well, to me, it's still a little loosey-goosey. So I'd want to know if,
Well, there's a lot to go on. What's the vision? A visionary meeting is
Yeah.
loosey-goosey.
well, that's true. But is that what what if you just invited people to come here on a date to do this? And maybe it's many people are interested. Like, how do you, I mean, it's just very open-ended the way you have it framed.
Well, you want to make it worth their while.
Last year,
You want to make them feel like they're invested in it.
Of course. But
last year we approved a sort of working group to look at the website, and it wasn't a problem. I don't know why it wasn't a problem.
But we approved Matt.
We didn't call it a working group.
Yeah, we call them queries, and I'm
Okay.
It was a communication study.
So
that I was tasked with.
yeah,
But I mean, I'm kidding. But if we were to move to task chemo with forming a Tracy Hall working group, would that be simple enough to take a step forward on this process?
just keep it really simple like that.
Yeah, because I like what Jan said about keeping it as simple as possible and acknowledging that there's like a certain amount of chicken and egg where the first thing that you should be coming back to us with is sort of a proposal for a charge and a time frame and sort of a scope of work. But there has to be some back and forth with the members that are part of your,
of course,
working group. And then the open meeting law overlays on this with just the intention to make it open to everybody to learn about and to keep track of. And so the intentions of the open meeting law are honorable, good intentions that we should all be following kind of anyways.
I think it's something we can leverage to make the whole thing more successful.
Right. Yeah. The more open you are, the more input you're going to get. Also, the more educated input you're going to get, because people can read this stuff ahead of time and keep up with what you're doing.
So that might be good. Just keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll come back to us as it forms.
Aside from the architect's report, is there anything else historical on this topic?
Historical. You mean about the building?
Yeah.
As in, do we have a description of the building historical?
No, anything like historical about improvements or changes or refurbishment.
There are some rules and regulations in terms of a historical.
No, I mean previous discussions and public solicitations and inputs.
I don't think so.
Like an Article 36.
It's been really ignored since
No,
1993.
It's been ignored.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing that was done beforehand was the study that was done by the architectural.
The architect, okay.
And they talked with all the stakeholders in the building and, did all their research that they presented last week or last time we met. But it'll also give you time to have all these lengthy discussions that we don't have the time to do here.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So Matt, maybe you can make that into a motion. Whoop, there's more input here.
Oh.
Can I just say, well, to reiterate what Matt said, I think it's a working group of the select board. And I'm interested because this is a tool that the planning commission would also want to use, and we'll be talking about a steering committee with you at your next meeting. But it's a working group of the select board to do work that you essentially don't, you're sending it off to this group because you don't have time to do it in your main meetings. And it's an iterative process. So you're going to go off with essentially a one-liner and a person, and you're going to sit down with whoever you can interest in it using open meeting law methods. And then you're going to come back with some more details and some more ideas and go back and forth with the select board because you're a body of them. So it's very iterative, and it's really a way of expanding your meeting time and getting more input feeding into your meetings.
Like the iterative part.
Yeah, excellent.
That's what I meant to say.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, Jan. Chris, you have your hand up as well.
Thank you. Can you hear me? I never know if I'm on mute or not. You can hear me. I'm glad Jan spoke up because Jan and I formed the solar siting subcommittee of the Planning Commission, and it's the exact same thing. It's iterative, but what we ran into was, and Jan, you can back me on this. When we started the group, it started out with myself, Jan, and Ernie, And we wanted to open it up to the public. So you should be aware of this. And we got pushback because some people on the Energy Committee thought we were stacking the deck. And we were like, no, we weren't. We just wanted it to be open to anyone who wanted to join the committee. So we got pushback on that. So it's a learning curve, but for Chemo to come in and be on the committee, and Jan was a fantastic chair on the subcommittee. It was great. I really enjoyed being on the subcommittee with him and that. So Chemo, for you to be chair, you have the experience, whatever. I think it would be really helpful for that. I know you guys are going to call it a working group as opposed to a subcommittee. I wouldn't get bogged down in semantics. It's still a committee. But Jan has continued with the subcommittee, so I'm sure you can get a lot more out of him. But my experience when we first developed this and knowing we had to abide by the OML, the three of us were very, very cautious about making sure that our meetings were public, that we went through agenda setting and then made sure all the announcements were out there, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, Jan's better at this than I am, but he was fabulous as a chair.
Thank you, Chris. I think the key point to add that Chris brings up that is important on the OML side for this is quorum, because OML speaks to quorum, and if you have to say who are members, and then you don't have a meeting without a quorum.
Yep.
So and then you can't have a meeting without following OML laws. So that you do have to care about who's a member and who's not a member. But that's part of setting it up so that you don't have to start with that. You can start with a small kernel and then come back and say, okay, we're going to propose, because it's a 9-month task and it needs a lot of work, we're going to propose 7 people, 9 people, whatever. And that then, even if you're not going to vote on things, that's not why you have members to define a meeting under OML. And I just got this opinion back from VLCT. You have to care about quorum, and to care about quorum, you have to care about who's a member, and that's set. So one thing we learned with the solar siting subcommittee is having 3 members can be a real pain, because then any 2 of you cannot talk. And so I think to the process, and that's what we're trying to learn here and write down, when we write the 1-pager that is, this is the process for doing working groups, and we amend that and we make sure that it's working for us, it's going to have a sentence or 2 about members and quorum and how we treat that.
Yeah, and can I continue with Jan and our solar siting working group? The charge was another issue that we ran into. And Jan, I don't remember what happened, but at first the select board asked us to write a charge. And then somehow I think the public was not happy with that. And I think we had to go back to the select board and have the select board actually write the charge. I know you were
we ended up writing it, and I think it's important the group writes it, but it gets back to what we said before. It's okay, and it's expected to be iterative. So it's perfectly fine to do a draft charge. At some point, the group, the select board, whose working committee it is, says, we agree with the charge, the members, the task, the schedule. Go for it, guys. Yeah. And then you're still giving regular updates, but it's the most iterative at the very beginning.
I think, again, that was another thing that we discovered. And I think in the early stages of the group was how to report back to the planning commission. At first, we kind of streamed it into the planning commission, but then the planning commission was a little confused if we were giving advice to them I just remember it being, again, it kind of had to evolve a little bit before. So anyway, Chemo, if you're going to head this group, I would have a nice chat with Jan about it, because it was.
Do I have to? No, I agree. And we have had chats and we'll continue to.
Can I ask one quick,
Yes.
kind of like, as we figure out our first steps, if we were to move to form a working group to task Chemo with studying Tracy Hall, and now we talk about how, like, your membership and having a quorum, there's a chicken and egg aspect of the membership and having a quorum. So would the first step be for you to go out, talk to people individually, see if they're interested in becoming part of the working group, and then essentially coming back to us and say, person X, Y, and Z would like to be part of the working group, then we approve them?
I think you need to approve them, but if.
I wouldn't know how to approve people.
If you think that's part of the process.
Okay, I'm asking an open question. I'm not saying we have to, but we have approved people for committees. So,
Right.
but in a working group, you're saying you can find people who are interested. Let us know. We as a select board have no oversight on who's part of that working group.
Well, I don't agree with that. I think we do,
We do.
because it's an offshoot of us,
Mhm.
really.
So then you would have to.
I think we're delegating and empowering them.
Eventually, I think it's just like Jan was saying, if it's a meeting, you have to know,
Who the quorum is.
you have to know who the members are and what the quorum is.
Mhm.
It's a formality coming back, but
But a quorum forms when you have the meeting numbers. So a quorum of 3 comes from 5. A quorum of 2 comes from 3.
so if 20 people show up, it's what, 17?
No, but these people would have to be
Is it a
members,
floating quorum?
Majority.
But they don't have to be members of.
but they have to be members.
Yeah. So it's
how do you
it's a
define
majority of the
members?
members, which could be 5 or 7, some odd number, right?
Well, it could be a lot. I mean, I think we had one committee, it was like 12, but
Well, would it make sense to try to approve something subject to the production of a slate of members in 2 weeks' time or something? I mean, that would be the first.
just want to go out and talk to people and see who's interested.
Well, I've talked to some people, but I haven't gone too far.
I see.
You've put a very optimistic deadline in here.
Well, I think
For the working group
the
report.
point of these is to make it happen fast.
And you can work like
Sketches.
Jan might have an answer to this chicken
Well,
and egg.
I just
question.
start simple and then say, bring it back to that group. So say you approve Chemo to go off and start this it only takes one line. It is Tracy Hall. You are contemplating, you are empowering Chemo to start the exercise of a Tracy Hall working group. He's going to then immediately come back to you and say, hey, I think it's 5 people and I got some names, and here's what was 1 sentence is now 10 sentences of what we want to do. And whether you say the select board is approving it or just being kept abreast of it is less important than it's your creature. It is, it is a working group of the select board, but just start small with the expectation he's going to come back and tell you more.
Okay. Good with moving something at this moment to just.
Yeah, I think
see.
so.
Yes.
We can move on.
Okay.
Unless, Chris, is your hand really raised?
No, it's really actually up. The only thing I would suggest, again, I know you guys are calling it a working group as opposed to a committee, which I think is semantics. My suggestion, Chemo, is that you're going to have to do whether the town does official advertising, or if you personally put something out on the listserv as a member of the select board. But I would certainly want to advertise this, because you always want to make sure that everybody has a chance to say, yeah, I want to be on it, as opposed to everybody finding out that you created your own group. It's just transparent. That's
Agreed.
it.
No, that's the big danger. I don't want to do that.
That's it.
Okay. So can I move something?
Yeah, what's your motion?
I move to task Chemo Griggs with forming a working group of the select board to study Tracy Hall.
I'm happy to second that.
I move to task Chemo Griggs to,
With forming a working group of the select board to study Tracy Hall.
It's nice and simple, I like that. Okay, so that was.
Tracy Hall improvements, refurbishment, just Tracy
I
Hall.
was going to leave it open.
yeah, I think we wanted to.
Really simple.
All right.
Good, I like it.
Okay,
Vision for the future.
so that was, Sweat. And
Moved by Sweat, second by Clausen.
any further discussion? Well, it really emptied the room out. No further discussion, let's vote. Clausen,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes,
he's not here, Sweat.
Yes.
And I'm, am I allowed to vote? I guess I am.
yes, you are.
All right.
Okay, let's do that one. Woo-woo.
We've done town credit card, we've done Tracy Hall.
At some point, I will be back with, I would like to working group to Jane to update the website.
Okay,
I might wait a meeting or two just to see how this one susses out. And then I'll follow your best practices.
would we,
Beta testing.
would we proceed,
Version 2.0.
so would we proceed that with a report from your earlier?
If you'd like it, I have some stuff and that I was going to ask you about that actually, because I saw that was on the next, potentially next meeting's agenda.
Yeah,
A communication study report.
yeah,
Happy to do that.
okay.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Cool.
That would be a lead-in maybe. And, you know, depending on that, we'll decide whether we give you the reins or not. Okay. Okay, discussion of select board goals and discussion of goals for the town manager afterward. I'm prepared to go as deeply into this or as shallow as you like. The select board goals, of course, I tried to write something that represented my interpretation of what I was seeing, hearing, reading from your input on your written. And we, of course, have no real metrics or necessity to meet our goals, aside from desiring to be reelected or be loved or be effective. Town manager's goals are a different thing. So I thought there were differences between goals and objectives reading the lists, and I listed them that way. And I guess I'd love to talk about that. See if you disagree with that organization or whether these goals are, there might be other main goals like communication, human resources, infrastructure. Those were for the town manager. And for us, it was governance, management, communication, infrastructure. There are probably others in terms of overarching goals.
Policy,
Does this policy?
but I don't know, getting a little amorphous.
I guess I'm wondering if policies, I put that under governments.
Well, government is also oversight, like when we approve the warrants.
Mhm.
Or I think government has many different functions, but I mean, when you listen to our treasurers, it's like, well, we should really be focused on policy, and we should, at least to some extent, be thinking about that.
Yeah.
So,
Is that a larger goal or is that a task or an objective?
well, does anyone else in the town make policy? No, right?
Mhm.
So I think it's a pretty important aspect of our job.
Absolutely.
It's not a subheading.
Oh, well, I don't mean that an objective is any less important than a goal. I just see it as a slightly different way to organize thoughts about it. If your goal is to govern well, policies need to be in there.
I'm getting a little lost kind of in word salad.
Okay. So should we simplify
If
or
we can.
change this, or we're looking at select board goals and objectives? Or
I don't see anything that especially I want to eliminate, but we know we have a certain amount of time. So some of it will get done, some of it won't. So
It's a challenge, I think, because if you look at the statute, it's extraordinarily broad and non-specific. Like, we're tasked with generally supervising the affairs of the town, not committed by law to someone else.
Not committed by law to
someone else.
To another party.
A particular
Oh,
officer.
I see.
Which could be, we don't do finance, we don't balance the books.
Yes, that's true.
We don't, yeah.
Right.
We
It's
don't
not stuff we
supervise
don't
the
do.
roads salting.
Right. So we're not road foreman.
We don't
So
manage.
we do all the other stuff that's not specified.
Right.
The town manager goals are much more specific.
Yeah, and much more task oriented.
Very.
But I mean, maybe it's more about values. What are the values of our town? And I think, we have a strong interest in alternative energy. That's a value. So that should be, definitely part of our goals this year. I think we've all talked about having better communication so that people can stay informed. And that takes many different, practical forms, including paying attention to the open meeting law. What else?
Yeah.
I mean,
Very granular. I think the overarching goal is to, faithfully serve the people who elected us and represent them in the decision-making processes.
Right. But I mean, even that falls into sort of more maintenance sort of things, like making sure the town is running well, making sure the taxes are collected.
Oh, no, but it's more about,
But also
how we practice our process, in a sense. It's not like making sure the roads are clear or something. It's like, does a concerned resident up on Beaver Meadow get a good hearing when they come to the select board? Are they respected? Are they listened to? Is there follow-up?
I think that's important, but that's not the whole town. That's not all the voter checklist. That's one person with a concern. We should be treated
I'm
with
saying in
respect.
general, any person who comes. Could be someone on Beaver Meadow.
It could be anybody, but that's one person out of many. And, it might be more. Also have to consider the people that are very concerned about speeding, for instance, which is an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Or that are, some of our buildings are decrepit and they need to get fixed up. And many people are interested in that.
Yeah. But it's Article 36, it's the buildings, it's the environmental, it's speeding, it's any concerned citizen, basically, about whatever issue.
Right.
So those are,
and I think that the trap you can fall into is, and I think Rob mentions it. What does he say in his goals? He actually said it very well. But he said it's like something to avoid. Avoid simply putting off considerations of complex issues. Don't let take the first step become the convenient stopping point. And then he stipulates Tracy Hall renovations, Norwich walkability, maintenance of all public capital assets. And I think it's great.
It's nice and simple. Yeah. I mean, it's simply.
It's almost like avoid these
Not
traps.
simple.
It's not a goal as such, but it's like make sure you don't fall into this trap.
so how, in the past, we had the sort of parking, and I took that away just for now.
That's good. Clear it out.
Well, yeah, it wasn't really moving. And I thought people aren't looking at it anymore. So I thought when it comes back, and I think it should be there, a reminder, these are the things we're working on, and maybe we can tick some of them off.
Right.
But leading to that, how do we organize
What we want to do.
goals, tasks? One of the reasons the working groups are being formed is to try to attack some of those things, not attack them, but work on them quickly, get them off the list, move them forward, right?
Delegate.
So delegate maybe, or get people involved to.
Right. Well, there are things that require a lot more time and focus than we have. Like our select board meetings should be fairly focused on moving things through, getting things like doing the work of our select board, but then there's lots of other important things to do that require either subject matter experts or just a lot more focused time. And that's also committee work too.
I see it as a little more, just as select board members, what are our interests and strengths and passions? So, I have two or maybe 4 policy things that I think would probably use up the time between now and budget season. And that's probably it for me. Whereas it might be a lot, too much maybe, and then you have the passion for the Tracy Hall and others, Rob with energy, maybe you with communication. So you can kind of pick an area just to get something done. I don't think we'll ever get all of it done.
Yeah.
And then there is urgency, I think the public does want something done about speeding, and they do want something done about the climate. There's that urgency. So
how would I write this differently to make it more better?
I don't know.
Oh, that's not helpful.
I really like how you said, what is our, almost like, what is our overall vision for the town? How do things flow down from that? I like that. I don't know. If
you mean overarching goals or?
Well, like I said in your note, like it's almost like a charter, what we should be aspiring to.
You have that on the wall, don't we?
Do we have a charter?
Oh, John Pepper's thing went away.
No, the way that
we have something. It's not maybe.
The way that charters were explained to me, I don't think that's what you're looking for.
No, that's a legal
It might be vision. Yeah, and there was, I think when John Pepper was here, they put a lot of time into sort of visions and ethics and important things. But I think that they wound up with things that were written down. I think
are they still around?
I bet
they kind of disappeared. They were over there on the wall.
I think
they'd be in the packets from their time as well, I would think.
So maybe it's already been done for us.
We could look that up, or at least, I think your compilation of everything how you compiled sort of all of our thoughts together was a good way to, you raise the topics. You have the major headings are kind of like goals. And then underneath that, it was some objectives, some procedures. I don't think there's a lot of policies in it, but like,
no.
I think it was helpful. I think it's a helpful exercise just to put it all in one place, to be honest. And I'm not sure that we need to go any further from that, because like Mary mentioned, I think like,
choose an area.
Yeah, choose an area, run with it as a working group. And then priorities are always going to pop up no matter what. The elevator might fail, like knock on wood, it won't.
Yeah.
But like something will happen. And we'll also have to focus on that. So maybe what you've done already, I like Rob's suggested goals, because the goals are really overarching, and that is what a goal should be. And I like reading that because it's clarifying, but I also, as someone who just likes to get things done and is like a doer, I also like that we can kind of run with our own topics and try to pick off some of the things that need to get moved along.
Do we need to do more with this, or just?
I don't think so.
You think I should?
I think
put this?
it's good for right now.
Expressed our interests and.
Okay.
All right.
Great. All right. Well, thanks for that. Shall we discuss the town manager's goals and objectives? Now, I am approaching this as a town manager, not the town manager. These are what goals do you accept? If you were going to hire somebody, what would you want them to look like, feel like, be like? I don't know. Is that? Oh, look, we have one. We have a town manager. Anyway, that's been my approach. I think if I can speak to Brennan just quickly, I think I asked you when Brennan and I met with you a week and a half ago or so. I'd asked if you might put together a list of your your goals. And I don't know if you've had time to do that, or what the goals for a town manager in your view should be, because your contract calls for us to work on this together. So is that something you think you can provide us? Your thoughts on goals and objectives?
You're asking me to do that tonight, Kimo?
No. We mentioned it a week and a half ago or so, and I'm just wondering if that's something you'll be able to provide us at some point.
And that with the time frame on that.
I have a couple
August or what?
thoughts. I have a couple thoughts I could share now if you'd like.
All right, sure.
So interestingly, I've been attending a summit for town managers. I attended it today, and there's a second day tomorrow. And one of the topics today, which we spent about an hour on, was evaluations, town manager evaluations. So I found that very interesting, obviously topical for what we're dealing with here in Norwich. And the group involves probably over a dozen town managers throughout the state of Vermont, a couple in New Hampshire, I believe. So very interesting to hear kind of different perspectives on how evaluations are done, and best practices, maybe what's worked, what truly doesn't work well. So I'm going to come back to that tomorrow with a couple thoughts that I've formed and ask a couple more questions. So I might be more able to talk in detail about whether there are things that I feel like we could do better here in the evaluation process after that. So maybe in a future meeting in 2 weeks, or whenever we come back to this, I would like to delve into it a bit. I thought in reading over what was in the packet that there may be a misunderstanding of the role of the town manager versus a town administrator. And I don't want to pull the group, but I would hope that we could all really understand 24 VSA, which really is the guiding state principles of the different roles between manager and authority. And I feel like certainly the statute is clear that the town manager is in charge of different pieces of town operations on a daily basis, serves as the CEO, serves under the direction of a select board that has its own powers, but that there is certainly an area there where there is some autonomy, and the town manager needs to have space to work and feel free in some ways from political influence. And I think that's why that statute was created the way it is. A town administrator works under a different set of rules and has very little statutory authority to do anything, works very much at the direction of the select board as far as tasks being assigned and such. So I think it would just be helpful if everybody, if you haven't already, just refreshes yourself and your knowledge on how that fits together. We have created, over the course of probably 8 or 10 meetings over 2 years, the last 2 years, the template, this evaluation template that was used for the evaluations annually. I think it's I honestly think it's a pretty good tool. I think, for lack of a better word, if you read the part 1 of that, the governing parameters for the goals and evaluations, it is kind of really made clear where the statutory thresholds are between a manager and the select board. And then obviously my agreement for services was created, and that has got specific language about how we're going to work together to come up with annual goals. So I would not, I guess, in the sake of not recreating the wheel here, I would use the template that we have for the upcoming evaluation. I think some of these goals are broad and cover maybe some of the things that I saw as, once of the select board already. The one thought I have, which I think would be helpful, would be to add another category under the evaluation. Well, to amend the evaluation, the above expectations, I think, could stay. The meet expectations could stay. I would suggest we replace below expectations with a box that would be needs improvement.
You're going in an A, B, C, D direction.
Yeah, it would have another category.
I think that's huge.
Okay.
That's
so-
huge for me.
That
I
was
have
my
one more,
biggest-
one more to add,
but
if I may.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, interrupted.
It's okay. No, the last box would be unsatisfactory. And that is the term that's used in the agreement for services that we've both agreed to. And if we reach that point where somebody felt that the goal was not being met to an unsatisfactory level, that would be important for me to know. And that's created, I think, in the past, a lot of ambiguity of where does that threshold lie? Like, is below expectations unsatisfactory, or is that a chance to give comments on things that could be improved? So with those four, go ahead.
Brennan, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because none of this is in the packet, and because this isn't really talking about goals, but about your evaluation.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep the discussion about goals and objectives.
Isn't it a goal to improve the evaluation process?
It could be, but I'd like
The
people in
specific
the
goal,
public be able to see this if we're going to be discussing it.
the contract?
Yeah.
Okay.
No one else knows what we're talking about here. So,
Yeah.
it's not that I don't want to talk about it. I prefer to talk about it during our next meeting, because this is going to be ongoing. If that, I don't mean to be rude. I just feel like we were strayed from what's been. Well,
I find it pretty interesting, but
all right.
you know, we don't have
if
to.
everybody else is okay with it, I'm good. I just want to.
But it's
Double
not
check.
goals, it's evaluation. Goals have to come first. You can't evaluate.
Well, the goal would be to improve the evaluation process. I mean, that's part of
Well, then
communication.
it's getting circular.
Okay. Well, I think if other people are comfortable with it, let's keep going.
Okay.
But what I tried to do was to take 24, and Brennan, you cited VSA 24-1236. I think I wanted to leverage that because it's really got some helpful specifics in the, whatever there are, 10 sub-bullets in that statute. And I think that's very helpful. That's where I was looking to start with those specific goals. And, you know, they certainly start out with the demarcation of lanes of operation, rules of engagement, which is fine. And then it moves on to, there's a very interesting one saying, perform all duties now conferred by law upon the select board, except
Right, and there's
that he or
exceptions.
she, and then they carve out tax bills,
Right.
sign orders on the general fund, special annual town meetings, layout highways, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the metrics around specific goals are much easier to assess than very amorphous and broad goals. So that's where I was trying to get with using this statute to focus us on specific goals, which can be more easily scored and graded according to the above needs improvement or whatever.
I don't know.
Well, I
I just,
think, oh, go ahead.
it's a hobby horse of mine, A, B, C, D. I just think as an evaluation process, it's a more nuanced framework. It's probably not appropriate for this setting, but I think it's really important. And I'd like to see it townwide because I'd like to see people doing a solid B. If they do an A, extraordinary, they need to be recognized. And then at the other end, the not satisfactory one, the D, that's important too. That's when you're in trouble and you need to. And I think that is a huge thing for the town because we have to do that evaluation. And also there has to be good communication about that. There has to be good evidence for what's happening. So I do think that's a major goal. It's communication, it's oversight from us. It's what are our values? What is the structure for evaluating people? The sense of giving the sense of what people are really doing, and does it meet a standard? Is it above standard, below? So I think it's a key goal, actually, and I think it's very.
But making it as objective as can be is going to be more straightforward in the longer term.
What is it? Say again.
Making these goals as the process of assessment of the goals as objective as you can.
Right.
So, deliver financial budget by July 31st. Deliver traditional working group, whatever, by September.
Right.
Or something. And you put in realistic goals in collaboration with the employee. You don't make it unattainable.
No.
But you have to set that framework.
Brennan has just made, I think, a valuable suggestion for improving the evaluation process.
All right. So, well, I was hoping to discuss evaluation next time. Stick with goals now. Well, they are separated in the contract. What I'm really looking for is an overarching, not talking about Brennan, talking about and my hope was that you might do the same as a town manager. What would you expect goals to be set for you when you went into this job? I know that's probably a little hard to do, but I think that's worth doing before we get into the specifics. Your contract with us requires us to annually work with you to define goals and performance objectives, which they determine necessary for proper operation of the town or attainment of the board's policy objectives. I think we've made some attempt to do that. And so I guess I'm asking for you to make a similar attempt to do that. We're meant to be doing it together. It's not just us telling you.
If I may, I don't disagree. Like, we have to do this mutually and agree to goals mutually. I think I get confused on, we have a template here, right? We've used this template for the last 2 years. This template has a number of goals. Some of them are kind of larger, overarching goals, and some of them are more specific to tasks. I would suggest we maintain that template. I think as far as tasks, if you want me to list a couple tasks that I think are achievable here in the next 4 months before the evaluation, I could do that. Is that what I guess I'm confused as to what you're looking for me to do tonight.
I'm not asking for anything tonight. About a week and a half ago, when we met with you, I told you we talking about these in the upcoming meeting tonight, and that I asked you to consider letting us know what you feel your goals should be at a high level, knowing that our goals were going to be in the packet. That's what I was hoping, was that we would start to have a written document of your expectations and our expectations that we could then discuss together. This is not, this performance evaluation form isn't in the packet, so I don't feel like we should be talking about it right now, but we can talk about it next week. And I think if you could write into us that this is what your expectation is, then that would, I guess, count as your input in terms of defining goals and performance objectives. I was hoping for a little more active engagement.
Well, the communication must have been lacking there, because that's, again, if you mention that in passing, I might not have picked up on what your expectation was as the chair. It should also possibly come through the whole board, because I think there's 5 other members that might be interested in what my task would have been.
Brennan, what's the genesis of this document, the select board and town manager goals? You said it was done 2 years ago?
Yes. So this was created 2 years ago for my first evaluation.
By yourself?
I think Marcia Calloway created this.
Okay. So was there a select board input, or was it just Marcia?
this was discussed in about 10 meetings over the last 2 years. So I guess I would say if you're interested in the history, you can certainly go back and look at the minutes from the meetings in the spring of 2024 and the spring of 2025.
It was quicker to ask you.
I think it was draft from Marcia.
Yeah, it was like I
Input
said,
from our
Marcia created this and then it went through various iterations of discussion throughout the process.
Yeah, I think one of the, and I keep getting back to this point about specifics that, and I know, Kimo, it's not in the material for tonight, but honestly, it's so broad, it doesn't need to be. It says number 5, goals, special projects, miscellaneous. TM will work as directed on miscellaneous special projects such as Beaver Meadow Road pedestrian corridor, cellular service provider initiative, FEMA roadway projects, ACO and dog park initiative, EAB management, etc. And there's just no metrics there. Like, how do we know that you've worked on a FEMA roadway project? Or how do we know that you've worked on the Beaver Meadow
You can see when those are closed.
pedestrian corridor? There's no like timeframes, there's no meets expectations, is getting 2 of these 6 things done. Above expectations is getting 4 of these 6 things done. It's so subjective. I worked in the corporate sector for 25 years and it was never this airy-fairy. It was much more specific. Because it's not fair on the employee if it's not specific and measurable, because then it becomes all subjective and it's his said and he said and it's my opinion, your opinion, and by definition they differ. So I think you need to work on having this subjectiveness where it just taken out of it, so it's much more objective, that we can measure performance. And you make it realistic, like maybe this list of 7 or 8 things was too much.
Right.
It was just a grab bag of, well, let's put in 8 things so we know there'll be work on maybe 2 of them.
Well, they also might have been all really sorely needed. And I mean, like weather-related events.
Yeah, so you have priority 1, and maybe you put the ash borer and the dog park, and priority 2 is 3 more. Priority 3 is weather contingent, road improvements, culvert replacements, et cetera, et cetera.
I guess my point is, do you always know how much time each one's going to take? Like with,
you don't. So
especially dealing with a government agency like FEMA and, delays and different FEMA agent every month and things like that. So how do you do that when you're setting a goal?
Well, in the evaluation, you say, well, the employee defends themselves and says, FEMA never got back to me. They were hopeless.
Or projects completed.
Yeah.
Which would be fair because a lot of these things.
So some of these things
completed
just.
And maybe don't even have enough credit for how much work that was and how it did get all done. So
that's why we need to put the work in to give credit where credit is possible to be given.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but it just seems so vague to me, that last goal in particular. And I don't know, I think as a select board, one of our goals should be to devise much more granular goals for the town manager to make him do his job to the best of his ability.
Well, like approving the evaluation, ABCD, that's granular as anything I can think of.
Yeah, but let's get down to the deliverables. Let's get down to...
That's not all. Now you're saying, first you're saying granular, you're saying overarching,
Well, we've done that. We've got the 4 categories. No one's disagreed with that. But now let's get down to the meat of it.
Right.
Well, we're not here to discuss evaluation categories. We're here to discuss goals and achievable metrics that things can get done for the town.
Evaluation comes solidly within education on all levels. That's our goal. Good communication.
Great. Now let's get him some goals to be evaluated on.
You mentioned, Brennan, you mentioned that one of the topics at the meeting that you're going to is best practices and evaluations. Is there, when you're done with this meetings, can you send towards us, what, if there's anything for best practices for evaluations? I'm sure that would be of interest.
Some fresh ideas, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was all over the place today in the discussion, and like I said, have a couple of final or follow-up thoughts that I'm going to ask tomorrow. Yeah, if there's anything meaningful, Matt, I can certainly try to quantify that. I think one of the things, if you're interested, I mean, one of the things that came out of the discussion was, what is the purpose of an evaluation of a town manager by the select board? And this is a town manager versus a town administrator. And the overarching feeling, I think, was that if done effectively, that this is a process where the town manager is guided by the select board on ways to improve his performance. And whenever possible, to quantify when things are going well and when things need improvement. It's not to find fault. It's not to say, well, geez, if you would have done this to my liking, I would have given you a meets expectation, and now you're getting a below expectation. So I think that was one of the overarching comments was, there should be a place of understanding as to what the evaluation is going to serve. It shouldn't be a mechanism to say you didn't do this right without a mechanism to say, but here's how you could do it better. Like there's a learning growth there that I think should occur and could in a open, fair, transparent evaluation. I think that would be the objective, right? Is to how does the town manager improve his performance over the goals that have been set for the period of the evaluation? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I'd even go further, Brennan. It's our obligation to give you goals to set you up for success.
Well, I appreciate that. If that's the
we can do it or
if that's what we're working towards. Again, I think we have in the past, again, with a lot of time and effort put into that, come up with a good mechanism here. I think this evaluation form that we've used for 2 years is effective. I think my suggestion to improve it might make it more effective. And so I think what we're talking about here is filling in for this next 5-month period before end of September of this fall, meaningful, reachable goals that I can be focused on, and I have ideas for that, Kima. Like I said, would you like to hear those tonight or not?
Well, I'd like them to be written so that we can consider them in a public setting.
And I don't think it's appropriate that this takes until September.
Well, but wait a minute.
No.
We better talk about that.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be
Anniversary of hiring.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean.
So this is always an ongoing process. The date keeps getting pushed out to the anniversary of hiring.
Well, this year we're so far behind that
when are we going to get ahead?
There's an awkwardness with it because the election cycle comes kind of in the middle of.
So we need to break that cadence.
I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, do you set your goals when you've got a new board and an election because everything's fresh and new, or do you do it? I think you have to do it, but contractually near the date of hire.
I think that's what you want to do. I think it needs to be separated from the election of.
Right. But also we can talk about, as Brennan was just saying, we don't have to decide it all tonight. We could do in the time between now and the anniversary date, come up with goals that would carry through to the next date.
But it's not fair on Brennan if we don't set his goals as far as physically possible ahead of the evaluation.
But some of them, just remember, some of these are just statutory. They're his statutory duties as a town manager. They're set.
Yeah.
So,
but some of the ones I've put in are not statutories.
Right. But I think that our
so
goals are the ones that are in addition to, right?
Yeah,
correct.
So it's not just statutory, it's the additional goals as well, which we need. If we are putting this additional ask, we need to give him additional time as much as possible to meet those goals.
Right. But the way this calendar thing with the anniversary date is.
How do we fix that?
Well, I don't know. We're going to have to double along until get some good goals and get close to the anniversary date and say, these are it.
Yeah.
In the meantime, he's probably working on goals that, some have been achieved, like animal park or whatever.
So the goals are set, the timing of the goals are predicted by the hiring date.
Yes, kind of unfortunately, I think, but yes.
So when is the date of the evaluation?
Oh, yeah, that's what, the end of September, Brennan? Is that
Yeah.
right?
Within 2 weeks of my anniversary date, which I think is September 27th.
Yeah, that's right. So like early.
So does that
so-
mean goals precede
So we can.
evaluation by 2 weeks every year?
Probably.
Within 2 weeks.
It's crazy.
Within 2 weeks.
So,
we can work
if I
on
may I say something?
Well, I mean, it's fine with me, but
Brennan, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this would be my take here, is that we have an anniversary date where the evaluation is required, and that is tied into whether I am performing in a satisfactory way, and that gets tied into whether I get an annual step increase like any other employee. So that's the anniversary that we're talking about here. There was never an anniversary, or there was never a set date for goals to be established. So what has happened again over the last 3 years is that the goals have been set right around now. You know, the end of May last year. I think it was maybe the first meeting in May the year before. I think we can change that, and I think we should change that. So for this year, we're here. I think what we can do is create some meaningful, goals with attainable objectives for me to focus on again for the rest of this year. And I have, again, some ideas of what those might be. We can keep this template that we've used for the last 2 years that has this overarching general, this is what a town manager in a Vermont town does and should be held responsible for. I'm fine with that. I think what we can do to be preemptive is next year when we get to the anniversary and we do this evaluation in September, we come out of that in October with, okay, so what is the next 12 months? And we set a new timeline for when these goals get established. And that gives me a full year to work towards whatever these goals are going to be that we're going to agree to. Where we've missed is we've gotten this stuff done in October, and then we've hit budget season, and we've been focused on budgets through the holidays into January. And as Mary said, then it's like, okay, well, we're going to have a new board in a month and a half. Why don't we wait so the new board's in charge? But I don't think that works very well. I don't think it has. So if we're all committed to trying to have a head start where we have goals established in October, then we've got at least 12 months or 11 months then to work towards them. And that seems more fair to me as well. Like establishing a goal in June to put something together that's complex is probably unreasonable.
Yeah, because we only have 4 months to assess.
Right, and if we can also, I'd put on top of what, I agree with what you just said. And I would put on top of that, if we can agree on an assessment model or like a goals model, like this annual performance form, then we can then it makes it easier for us to kind of add our next year's goals.
Right.
And instead of having to debate an entirely new format as well. So we could take what would exist and would put in a lot of time to create and improve it in small increments, like, the evaluation check boxes. You could add 5 of them or 4 of them and get a better evaluation. I think that sounds reasonable. It would also be a better conversation for next, if we're going to talk about this next meeting, because Rob will be here as well.
Yeah.
And then we can have things in the packet to really everybody can look at.
Yeah.
I'm still reluctant to kick the can down the road for a third year.
Well, we're not doing that exactly. I think next week we're going to have a fuller discussion and maybe establish goals for between now and September.
Yeah.
Call them interim goals or something.
And we can add them to
Short-term goals, yeah.
But they're also, the overarching goals of what do we want a town manager to walk and talk and be like, right? Yes, there's the legal stuff. But beyond that, is all the other stuff. What would you wish from a town manager in addition to what they're required to do, right?
Right.
And that would apply for 1 month or 3 months or 10 months or 3 years. That's something that's a goal, right?
And that's doable in the short term.
Doable short term and in long.
Because it's not replacing a bridge or
Yeah, and
whatever.
I think I'd really be interested, when you're driving in Norwich in the morning and wow, here's this town. What are my goals for this town?
Right.
What can we get done? What do I think they should be doing? That's a goal that's not a legal requirement, but it's sort of a natural one to, I think, you're working on a project here. It's called a town.
Mhm.
So what am I going to work on today? What am I going to work on over the next 6 months? What can I kind of, those are goals. And, maybe they aren't, but maybe they are. So I'd be interested in hearing what those might be. And we work out together what goes on the evaluation,
Okay.
right? Make sense?
Yeah.
Not unfriendly. It's not unfair. It's, I think, a sort of optimistic, supportive way to provide direction, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've had numerous requests to move on this.
Yeah.
So
Does that sound good?
Yeah. No, I'm satisfied. I think the place of understanding is what does the town manager need to do, with his statutory authorities to be effective in his job, right? And what are the goals that we can set that are attainable with select board support and hard work and effort can be reasonably achieved. And if we can come up with those, I think we're in good shape. I think I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I think it sounds good. I'm ready to move on, though.
Let's move on. Shall we? Any public discussion? Oh,
I know that, Cheryl Lindbergh, I know you've received a couple of emails maybe on suggested goals, or maybe the select board and the town manager. Are you going to solicit any additional?
I don't think we have any in this packet.
No, but you have in prior packets. There was some.
I guess I will try to review those. Yeah.
I just didn't know if you were going to reach out in any way, if that was going to be anything you would add to. What do anybody in town? Is there any public input to goals for the select board or town manager?
Yes, in that this is a public meeting. It's on the agenda. I think anybody who's interested has a chance to either appear in public or write in. We're not making a motion tonight, so there's enough time. I'm not sure what else.
I don't know. I thought Matt even said something at one point about it. That's all.
But letting people know more aggressively than posting the agenda and stuff on the listserv. Is what you're referring to?
Yeah, I mean, communications from the select board.
Yeah.
On any topic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
On the listserv to say, hey, we're going to talk about this. Anybody got ideas?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Okay.
Looks like there's another.
We have another question. Chris. Yes.
Hi, Hemo. So when you guys were talking about, what was the discussion? Shoot, in the very beginning. And, I'm sorry, I'm having a moment here. Whatever's on the agenda, it was not about Tracy Hall or the working group or something, and you guys didn't have any material. And I said that my comment really applied to that particular agenda item, but then I said, oh, well, when you talk about goals, that, perhaps that's when you can be brought up. And I kind of think from a public standpoint, if you want to get public input, what I said was when you guys have an agenda, the public is as much a part of the packet and the agenda as you guys are, right? But you didn't have any material. So my suggestion was, and I've known that other towns do this, is that they task the town manager, it's a simple goal, task the town manager to make sure that material is provided in the packet. And again, I'm so sorry that I don't remember what the agenda item was. Let me just check real quickly. Nope, I don't have it. But anyway, you guys didn't, you brought it up to the agenda. Article
It's the
36.
Article 36.
Article
Yeah, yeah.
36. Now, there
Yeah.
is 5 years worth of information on Article 36. Now, again, a town manager goal would be very simple, that it's not just for you guys as your employer, employee, but for the town. I think having something as simple as saying, I'd like to see the town manager make sure that we're supported in any one of your agenda items. And I'm a little disappointed to think that you guys, for 2 select board meetings in a row, you guys have had town manager select board goals, and yet our town manager is saying, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared. So again, that's between you guys and him and when you write his evaluation, but I think it was pretty clear that you guys were going to be talking about town manager goals. So it's a little disappointing to hear our town manager say, sorry, I'm not prepared, but that's up to you guys. But again, what I said was that it would be nice that the town and the public, when it comes time to agenda items, that material provided by the town manager, I think, is part of his support to you guys as members of the select board. That's how the public is involved in this process, is we can see that achievable goal. And I think the TM report is a really important part of town manager goals, in that if you guys task him with a goal, he should be reporting on it in the town manager report. But it's usually him reporting on what's already being reported by the other directors. So it would be kind of nice to see from the public's perspective. I kind of like to see a little bit more stuff in the town manager report, stuff that he was tasked for, not the director of DPW or the chief of police or Bree. I'd like to see his town report, his TM report, be a little bit more on substance of what goals he has achieved that you guys have, his direction from you guys. So anyway, that's it. Thank you,
Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Very much appreciated.
Okay, any other comments? I think we're good. Thank you, everyone. Minutes. Are there any changes to the minutes? Just one change to the minutes from hold on 1 second, I'll give you the page. The minutes from March 25th, 2026.
On page 28 of the packet.
28 of the packet.
It says the dates it's just missing 2017 as well.
Oh, on the approved,
Yeah, I moved.
grand list.
Yeah, exactly. So 2017 was one of the.
That's in the motion.
You
Right.
and I.
Yeah, and it admittedly, I did not go back and listen to it to see whether it might have been left out.
Wait, sorry, which agenda item was this?
28, and so it was agenda item 14. And I know that we did sign one for 2017.
It's funny you bring that up because the initial read through of it included it, but then the final read through, if I remember correctly, didn't include it.
Okay. So
Maybe that
then.
was me.
Should it be every year or
You went over
just a couple of minutes?
this item.
What?
Should it be every single consecutive year?
No, but 2017 was
There are
one.
gaps.
2017 was one that we signed.
Right.
So it's a technical question, I guess, whether if it was, I think that we have decided that this is an accurate written recording of what was actually said, whether or not that was correct or not.
Also, if it's read twice, which one is the correct one?
Oh, yeah.
Because maybe the first one was correct,
Yeah.
which included 17.
I do know we signed 2017.
They're all in.
I'll just put it like that. Yeah, it's in this one.
Do we need
And I
another
was hesitant to
motion?
bring it up.
Are
Well,
we?
should we correct something in there? I don't know.
Well, you signed
If one of the two, if it was said in one of the motions, maybe we could add 2017.
Like there was lack of clarity in how I understood it.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe we could just add 2017.
To amend it.
Yeah.
It might be smart since we
I
signed
think
it.
that would be
It's appropriate.
Sorry.
smart as well. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well spotted, man.
I will give credit to the listers.
That was page 28. No,
It was on page 27 of the packet.
Yeah.
Under 14
28.
agenda item.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Well, yeah, I have it on page 28. Interesting. Okay. Any other changes? Good.
Good.
Still have to move it though.
Motion?
Could it be, I move to approve the minutes for March 25th, 2026 as amended to include approval of the 2017 grand list
Closing of it.
or closing of the 2017 grand list. Yeah, good.
Good.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Second.
Right.
Just adding
Any
it.
discussion? No discussion. Let's vote. Klassen,
Yes.
Layton,
Yep.
Swish,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Terrific. And that was moved by you, Matt? No, that was moved by
Seconded by me.
by Mary. All right, AP warrants. Are there any questions about the warrants? Lots and lots.
Warrants. Make sure we sign them all.
It looks good with you, Matt?
They're good to me.
Ready for motion?
I'm ready for a motion.
Okay. I move to approve AP warrant number 1468 in the amount of $358,044.56 to be paid from the general fund. AP warrant number 1469 in the amount of $4,171.86 to be paid from the police cruiser fund. AP warrant number 1470 in the amount of $1,618 to be paid from the Tracy Hall Fund. AP warrant number 1471 in the amount of $7,905 to be paid from the Fire Equipment Fund. AP warrant number 1472 in the amount of $12.97 to be paid from the General Fund. And AP warrant number 1473 in the amount of $26.50 from the General Fund.
Second.
Any further discussion? No one. All right, let's vote. Klassen,
Yes.
Layton.
Yes.
No gear, Sweat,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Terrific. Correspondence. Let's see. We received a confirmation from Kelsey Zengel of the Vermont Department of Forest Parks and Recreation conferring Fire Department Chief Norther's appointment as town fire warden. A request from Sophia Langlois, who was here earlier at the Valley News, for someone to respond to a number of questions. I don't know how that request has been responded to, but I believe we have not yet responded to it, and the time may have passed. We received notification from Megan Anderson that she has moved out of Norwich and had to resign as a trustee of public funds. Both Pam Smith and Christy James responded. Their kind letters are in the packet. We received an email, book from John Carroll with a rendering of the presentation he provided the select board on March 25th, which we very much appreciate. And we received an email from Chris Katuki regarding an appeal to our town manager regarding requests for public documents, how they've been made available to date. I believe that is all. Mary, you wish to comment on?
Yes. Yeah, it was just, should we have an agenda item? I think it would relate both to the John Carroll material about the open meeting law, especially as it pertains to informing the public about legal matters that come up, which is also a question in Sophia Langlois' query from the Valley News. What is the town's policy when a legal matter comes up, and when do we inform the public, and how do we inform the public? And that's a very tricky subject, but I think it's something that would be worth clarifying if we can possibly do that. And as far as the John Carroll material, which is quite helpful, but pretty extensive, we didn't have time to reflect or comment or decide whether we would take further action on any of his suggestions, which might be something that we want to do. So just think an agenda item might be good.
John's are largely advisory, right?
Well, all of them are advisory, but I guess what I'm getting at is, what is our policy? What is our procedure and policy when a legal matter comes up?
Yeah.
And I don't, and also that I thought, well, this is sort of getting to be agenda item stuff, but John is also hinting at or suggesting that in order to inform the public, we need to be better informed before we come up against the legal matters on the agenda, because sometimes it's sort of breaking news to us.
Yes.
So if we're going to inform the public, we have to know before the meeting. We have to know at least the broad strokes or what actions being taken. And I think that has not always been the case. So this is why I think an agenda item about this would be good.
I agree. I can tell you that Brent and I, in meeting with the town manager, have asked that, well, I think you know this, a few meetings ago, I asked that the legal documents be shared with us ahead of the meeting. It was done late in the day, but it was done, and there was no complications there.
Right.
Because clearly we're going in blind. And during the following meeting, I think we agreed to establish share file folders that we can go in and examine documentation in advance of meeting. It should help us assess many things and discuss things with greater brevity here in the meeting and so on. So I think I'm trying to find ways for us to
get a handle on that, because it's
but we should talk
it's
about
not always easy to do that. And also, even if we have access to share files, we may not have the perspective of counsel.
Yeah.
Right.
But at least you're familiar.
But I found it good that when John was talking to us and suggesting certain ways to improve sort of the streamlinedness of when we do go to executive session, he was saying getting legal files ahead of time makes it better. I felt good because we had literally just at the last meeting established that. So that was, a positive step forward.
Yeah.
I think the other point John made, which is very good, that I certainly didn't get because I'm not legally trained, is that the particular lawsuit in question, I won't go into details, was already in the public domain.
Right.
We were unaware of that.
Well, and Chris Katuki was making that point too in earlier correspondence.
He is legally qualified. Alas, we are not. So we need to rely on legal counsel to find out where we sit. Like, as a select board, what are our obligations? What's in the public domain? What's not? And how do we have to, play it?
Right.
And I don't think we played it well because we were legally blind to what our obligations were. And legally blind to what the landscape was and how our obligations fit into that landscape. That's what John was saying.
Yeah.
And he was very right. And Katuki's a high-powered Boston lawyer. He knows more than we do.
Right. And he's used to just looking at the court docket and seeing what's current, which most people don't do that for fun, at least.
I'm lucky to read list those.
It sounds like it would be good to have at least a short discussion on.
Can't hurt.
Yeah.
Can't hurt. And we have to be conscious that what we say here can affect how the town manager does his job, because, if we release something that makes his job more difficult, so we need.
Yeah, we have to use some judgment in how we talk about things, but
But John's also made a very good point, is that it's not our obligation to find that something is legally sensitive. It's our obligation to explain why we believe something is legally sensitive.
Well, if
the word find is, what did he call it? An assumption or
this is getting beyond.
I know.
I think
that's why we have an agenda item. We can.
So it was like
details. I think that's good.
In 2 weeks.
And we could try it in 2 weeks. Let me see what else is on there. I mean, I've been
Yeah,
sort of packing things.
The art of creating the agendas, another interesting topic of what you can, how you pace it and what you can
Yeah.
cram it full and how
Yeah.
late you're going to be up and all that.
And Matt did predict 9:15 tonight, didn't you?
Yeah, I lost the
All
bet.
right.
My polymarket bet is 10.
Okay, so receipt of correspondence.
The other one person in Norwich.
I move to receive all correspondence. Now we're getting punchy.
I'll second that.
And your name is Clausen. Any further discussion? I see. Whoop. Good. Voting, Clausen,
Yes.
Leighton,
Yes.
Swett,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Terrific. Would anyone like to move to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No. Great.
9:40 p.m.
Voting, Clausen,
Yes.
Leighton,
Yes.
Swett,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
Is it still?
Well,
Go to the one.
9:41.
The recording